meetings, archival documentation on progress in the fields. Background in the Symposium International, healthcare professional reform encourage in personal and professional consciousness. Healthcare professionals are created with increasing opportunity for inclusion of complementary and alternative therapy in personal education. The significance of the sweeping movement for integration on complementary and alternative therapy in the aspects of healthcare via K-driver. Healthcare provides a flow into a team where their design and redesign as supportive technology infrastructure ranging from electronic health. The 5-domain complementary and alternative medicine. There are one meditative movement, mindfulness-based stress reduction, hypnotherapy. And then acupuncture, acupressure, and M.Si, ada diets, ada supplement. Just in complementary therapy, 60% of adults in USA reporting use of complementary therapy NCC IH 20 and 16. 11.6% of children 4 to 17 years use of complementary therapy and CCIH 2016. 50% or higher of adults in UK, Germany, Japan, and Ireland indicating a wide use of complementary therapy, and 45% of military personnel reporting use of complementary therapy. Numerous studies have explored the use of complementary therapy in special health conditions, LE cancer, asthma, neck pain, arthritis, and complementary therapy are often used to promote a healthy lifestyle, Tai Chi to promote flexibility and prevent falls in older. Ladies and gentlemen, there are symbiosis in the complementary therapy. One is nutritional, 2 psychological, 3 physical, and 4 combination. Ladies and gentlemen, regulation in the complementary therapy, regulation of brother healthcare and non-healthcare professional is done by state and in some instance at the city level. A number of professional organizations establish standard and administer certification examination for participation. Many healthcare facilities have requirement for complementary therapy working in their facility. Ladies and gentlemen, implication for nursing, complementary therapy, floral anesthesia stress the importance of treating environment in which healing could occur and significance of therapy such as music in the healing process. Meditation, imagery, support group, music therapy, humor, journaling, rumination, caring-based approach, message, touch, healing touch, active listening, and process have been practiced by nursing through time. Many professional journals have devoted entire issue to inform the use complementary remind. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the University of Muhammadiyah Kudus vision is being global. The symposium is one among many efforts to make this vision come true. I believe that by participating in the international symposium, we are in the right place and the right time. Together, let us accelerate the exchange of ideas and scaling of the good practice in nursing field, and I wish you all a very successful webinar. I declare that international symposium is officially open. Thank you very much for your attention. I look forward to exploring the Symposium Internasional. Kami akhiri, I finished my call. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Rector University of Muhammadiyah Kudus, Dr. Nurse Rusnoto, Master of Health Epidemiology. And continues by photo session.
Now for the photo session together, we invite all speakers and also Rector and Vice Rector to prepare for the photo session together. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, smile.
Okay. Again, so please smile. One, two, three. One more time. Prof. Rusli, you may involve the camera. So please now provide you with the camera that we can have a photo session together right now. 1, 2, 3. Last freestyle. Okay, freestyle. Please. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I left in the forum because to activity other games.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Rector.
Ladies and gentlemen, those are the opening International Symposium on Science and Technology at the University of Muhammadiyah Kudus. That's all from me as Master of Ceremony. Let's close with saying Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Nasrum minallah wa fathun qarib basyiril mu'minin. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Now we come to the main agenda of International Symposium on Science and Technology, entitled Complementary Therapies, Best Health Innovation for Healthy Indonesia. It will be led by Mr. Emi Nurjasmi, Master of Education, as moderator. The stage is yours, Mr.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Master of Ceremony. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Innal hamdalillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa sayyiati a'malina may yahdihillahu fala mudhillalah wa may yudlil fala hadiyalah. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarikalah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh la nabiyya wa la rasula ba'da amma ba'd. Well, let's pray to our Lord, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, for His mercies and blessings, and also salawat and salam please be upon to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the International Symposium. So this International Symposiums today pick the title Complementary Therapies, Best Health Innovations for Healthy Indonesia. My name is Emi Nurjasmi and I'll serve as a moderator for this International Symposium. As all we know, complementary therapy plays important role to support the medications. And these include acupuncture, serotherapy, osteotherapy, homeotherapy, and herbal medicines. Then so many research has been done about complementary therapy is mixed and prove that complementary therapy is really effective. And today, together with our expert speaker, then we have 6 outstanding speakers will talk about this topic in a very detail. So to be more effective, now let's move directly to the first presentations from Dr. Elvira Urgel, Registrar of Nursing from Centro Escolar University of Philippines. So now I might keep in touch with Dr. Elvira. Doctor, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
So since that Dr. Elvira is ready for the presentations, today Dr. Elvira will talk about complementary therapy. And to save our time, before the presentations, let me read her curriculum vitae for a while. So her full name is Elvira Urgel, and she completed the Bachelor of Science in Nursing in 1980 from Our Lady of Mercy College, and also continued the Master of Art in Nursing also in Philippines Women's University in 2002, and also continued the doctoral degree of philosophy in Centro Escolar University in 2014. There are so many career history that I can mention one by one, but at least in 2008 to 2016, she was an assistant of dean, and now 2016 to present, she was a dean of a Centro Escolar University School of Nursing and assistant. There are so many awards achieved by Dr. Elvira that I can mention one by one, but to save our time, now let's go directly to the presentation from Dr. Elvira. The stage is yours now, ma'am.
Thank you. I requested Amalia to present my PowerPoint.
Yes.
Thank you for that generous introduction, but I'm very glad that it's short, and what is important is I'm having this time of with you to explain and share my knowledge about complementary medicine. May I know if the PowerPoint is ready?
So, Vizir, you may help to share the slides of Dr. Elvira, please.
Yeah. Normally, when I present, I ask somebody to run the slides so that I will not miss the point of explanation. So I just ask Amalia to do it for me. Okay.
We may wait for a second, Dr. Elvira. We prepare for the slide presentations. Maybe we can have.
Okay. I'm sorry, the background of this symposium is not. I'm not reached. I'm trying to find out where is it. I uploaded it already, but I cannot find it. So
it's really okay.
Apologies on that.
It's really
I really wanted to have it posted during my presentation.
Yes, no worry, Doctor. So Dr. Elvira is from Philippines. So
Yeah.
would you tell a little bit about the complementary therapy in Philippines before the presentations, Doctor?
Well, as I have, we belong in the same uh, knowledge and the same expertise. No? So maybe just the same. This is not mine. This this complementary medicine with us in the Philippines is almost the same as I have read it. We have the same, and having been in your place in Indonesia, we almost have the
Yep.
same approach in complementary medicine.
Okay.
So there is no problem with it. I guess we belong to the same category as to how we implement and how we look into what is the significance of complementary medicines to all of us.
I got it, Doctor. So that's
Yes.
I may conclude that between complementary therapy in both countries can be applied together. So we can
Yes.
also use the complementary methods between in Philippines and also in our country,
Yes.
Doctor.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
So,
Now, thank you so much.
Right.
This
Okay.
is how
You may
I would.
you may take the
This is
floor for the presentations, Doctor. Time is yours
yes.
now.
Yes. Thank you. When we talk about science, technology, and complementary therapies, these are based on health innovations for not only healthy Indonesia, but also Philippines. Uh, so I would like to make not a difference, but rather similarities on our opinions and our thoughts on complementary therapies. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next, please. Okay. Now, before I move on, I'd like to inform everyone that the World Health Organization, through its general program of work, came into an effect in the year 2019 to 2023. And what is this all about? In order to advance towards Sustainable Development Goal 3, this aims to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all ages. Therefore, it sets the overreaching goal of reaching 3 billion more people by achieving universal health care coverage, addressing health emergencies, and promoting healthier population. Next slide, please. And therefore, the inclusion of traditional medicine created a national policies, regulatory frameworks, and strategic plans for traditional and complementary medicine goods, practices, and practitioners as well, as we took efforts to ensure the proper integration of traditional and complementary medicine into our health system. In order to include the integrated approaches of both conventional or traditional, addressing policy, knowledge, and practice, World Health Organization's traditional and complementary medicine section was renamed to incorporate the term integrative medicine in the middle of 2017. Next slide, please. According to the most recent data, 170 member states or 88% of member states have admitted using traditional and complementary medicine. These are the nations that, for instance, have formally developed TNC policies, laws, regulations, programs, and offices. And the actual number of nations utilizing TMC is even probably getting higher. Next slide, please. Complementary medicine, as we fondly define it, refers to a broad set of healthcare practices that are not part of the country's own traditional or conventional medicine and are not fully integrated into the dominant healthcare. They are used interchangeably with traditional medicine in some countries, according to World Health Organization in 2019. Next slide, please. Therefore, what are these complementary therapies in nursing? Let me begin with, many people are using complementary and alternative therapies to promote health and speed up healing from illnesses. Nurses should be knowledgeable about complementary therapies for three reasons. Patients, families, physicians, and institutions are increasingly expecting practicing nurses to be knowledgeable about this. Many nurses expanding their clinical practice by incorporating complementary therapies is now going positively, a positive approach to everyone. Next slide, please. Though considered to be safe, there can be potentially harmful situations in complementary approaches, which should be managed very well by healthcare provider. So we do not really say that when we consider this has to be safe all the time. That is why it has to be regulated, and there should be a policy of this. Medical interventions that are excuse me, medical interventions that are currently not an integral part of conventional medicine, and since in 1990, there has been widespread and increasing use of complementary therapies that has brought attention to our community. Next slide, please. Now, what are the classifications of complementary therapies? This can be in the form of alternative medical system, body interventions, manipulative body-based methods, energy therapies, and biologically based treatment. So let us just look at how we should know each of these. Alternative medical systems, commonly we know that we are familiar with this. Art therapy, aromatherapy, healing touch, that is very particular for nurses. Humor, laughter therapy, and then massage therapy, and music therapy, nutrition, play therapy, and yoga. Next slide, please. While mind-body interactions are those that are related to relaxation, breathing, prayer is one, meditation is another one, biofeedback, imagery, hypnosis, journaling, and animal-assisted therapy. So let us just try to look at it. Manipulative and body-based method is another one. And this is more on chiropractic therapy and acupressure. That I heard it from our rector who have mentioned acupressure and this chiropractic therapy. Excuse me. Next slide, please. Now, what are these energy therapies? This can be in the form of Reiki. Reiki is a Japanese kind of therapy, and another one is a magnet therapy. Next slide, please. Biologically based treatment are more on this one. Herbal therapy, of which we look into herbal plants and other pharmaceutical nature, and then nutraceutical. Another one would be, this slide is now looking at our ways on utilizing complementary medicine for our patients. Okay. Now, when we talk about utilizing it, the first thing that comes into our mind is ask the patient about the use of this. Take a complete history of herbal use, including amounts, brand names, and frequency of use. Another measure to take is take a complete history of herbal use, including amounts, brand names, and frequency of use. So, if we look at these measures, this is now the role of the nurse. Nurse primarily assess our patients. So another measure is investigate whether herbs are used instead of or in addition to traditional medical treatments. And the last would be find out whether herbal therapies are used to prevent disease or to treat an existing problem. Next slide, please. So, to include this, I would like to inform our colleagues that the role of the nurse is so important. The role of the healthcare provider is very important in the care, in the approach of complementary medicine. Let me add to this. Instruct the patient to inform healthcare provider before taking any herbal medicine. But here in the Philippines, we are very keen on this. We pay particular attention to this because it may find disagreement or may find a problem while the patient is taking herbal treatments and that of medicines provided or instituted by our physicians. And the next step is make the patient aware of the risks and benefits associated with herbal use. This one, we nurses should really make it a point to disseminate information, make sure that our client or patient understand what benefits it is associated and what are the reactions of this when combined with other drugs. Excuse me. The next is advise the patient using herbal therapies to be aware of any side effects. Well, in nursing, as we all know, that we always use our nursing process wherein we assess, we plan, we implement, and we evaluate. And so the last is make the patient aware that moisture, sunlight, and heat may alter the components of herbal treatment. Next, please. Excuse me. Now, what are the roles of nurses in complementary medicine? Excuse me. Uh, excuse me. The weather here in the Philippines is somewhat so dry and humid, and so everyone is having respiratory problem. So I apologize for that. The role of nurse with respect to complementary therapies is evolving, and among these roles are assessing a patient's use of complementary and alternative therapies and the possible risk of complications or adverse reactions or interactions with conventional therapies. Another one is promoting safety and serving as a resource. Another one is providing holistic self-care and holistic nursing care and serve as a provider. Well, let's not miss this one, the last part. Let us all participate in research making. We all have the data. We all have this. So it is better that we find ourselves active in researches such as this complementary medicine. Let's move to the next. Now, I am moving to the use of complementary medicine in your place in Indonesia. Just take a look at this. This is what I found. Next slide, please. In Indonesia, the national policy of traditional and complementary is the National Traditional Medicine Policy. It is kebijakan obat tradisional nasional. The national legislation on this comprises provisions of the Health Law number 36 in 2009 and TNCM regulation on the role of PM practitioners and the role of CAM practitioners. So, if we take a look at this, in Indonesia, there has been already a national policy on traditional and complementary. There is also a draft of national policy on the practice. So while we look into the legislation, your country is now looking at the practice of TCM and putting it into a national policy. And the Center of Traditional Medicine Development is responsible for this. Next slide, please. Complementary medicine practices were introduced in 12 pilot hospitals in 2010. The development of a standard for quality of herbal medicine, Indonesian Herbal Pharmacopoeia, took place in 2008. And the National Research and Development in Herbal Medicine started in 1980 in your country. Next slide, please. Practices, providers, education, and health insurance. The TNCM practices of acupuncture, Ayurvedic medicine, and chiropractic are used. Regulations apply to indigenous TM providers, 4 types of traditional medicine practices, and providers of acupuncture, chiropractic, and herbal medicine. The regulations for hypnotherapy are in the process of being established. TNCM providers practice in public and private sectors, clinic, and hospital. And therefore, a student of this can obtain a bachelor's and master's degree at the university level. Therefore, looking at the summary of the presentation that I have, we are all aware, even in the Philippines and even in your place, that the complementary medicine helps a lot in promoting the welfare and the health of our citizens or our community. And so we are one with each other. We are one with each other in making this possible by helping economically and looking back to what our ancestors have started with in using traditional and complementary medicine. I'd like to mention many more about this, but how we address this, but I guess this would be in another topic so that we could at least exchange ideas on how we are implement this and how we look at positively on this aspect of complementary medicine. To each one of you, magandang umaga at mabuhay kayong lahat. This is from the Philippines. Good morning to everyone. Thank you.
You are most welcome, Dr. Elvira. And now let's give a virtual applause for the wonderful presentation from Dr. Elvira. What a really amazing presentation. And Doctor, now we have about 128 participants joining for this symposium. And I think there are a lot of questions will be addressed to Dr. Elvira. So for the wonderful presentation today. And now I invite all participants to join the session of discussion. So if you have any questions, now you may write down your question through our Zoom chat room and also raise your hand to ask directly to Dr. Elvira. So please now, do you have any questions? Yes, of course, Doctor. Okay. So please, officer, show the questions.
My name is Elvira.
Okay, right. Okay, first questions. Yep. Okay, so first question is coming from Muhammad Jauhar from Universitas Muhammadiyah Kudus. So the material is really interesting. I'd like to ask about first, what are the forms of the reimbursement and complementary therapy carried out by nurse in the community setting? First questions, doctor. And the second, what form of complementary therapies are currently being performed by nurse in Philippines as a form of independent nursing interventions? So those are the questions, doctor. You may have answer and clarifications.
I really don't have an idea of the reimbursement that you're saying, but if it's in the government side, reimbursement is not the thing that we speak about. Because when we talk about government implementation of this, these are all taken into consideration by our policy, by the policy of the government to move into this direction. Looking at what other measures of complementary medicines that are very effective in us is, we all know, even you in Indonesia, herbal is one, right? Herbal is one that we are most aware, and of course with the others. I'm also we're not very keen with acupuncture, but some Chinese and Koreans who are with us in the Philippines are doing this. They have clinics of this site, and well, maybe for a time, and even until now, we have aromatherapy because everyone knows that when we have this at home in offices, it helps us lessen our stress and our capacity to be more to lessen our degree of threshold. Another one is massage. Well, nurses are very familiar with this. We always do massaging in any form where, because this is what nurses should do to our patients, especially for the older ones. When the degenerative diseases comes into our older adults, massage is most important to them. There are many, like music therapy is one that I can mention. Well, all of us, when we pray, that is a sign of mind-body interaction. So prayers helps a lot. And of course, other measures that we find it very interesting and very helpful to the person involved and the one that gives the complementary approaches. Next, please. Next question. Did
Okay.
I answer the question?
Yeah, so what really detailed answer and explanation from Dr. Elvira. So hopefully to Mr. Johar, your question is already answered. And now we move to the second question, Doctor, from Diana Trilestari from Universitas Muhammadiyah Kudus, our university. I'd like to ask you, Doctor, what is the policy of implementing complementary therapy in hospitals and how it relates to the license of the therapies? So that's the questions.
Okay, very good questions. In this, there is really a policy in the hospital. As of now, there is still, we have to study this because there will be conflicting ideas between the doctor and that one of the patients who receives her own or his own complementary approaches or therapies. So I guess it is important that we look into the protocols of the hospital and look into the needs of the patient itself. It's only a matter of knowing each one's criteria or protocol so that we are not losing each other's intention of this. Because if we rather include this in the hospital and find out that it may affect somehow with the management and treatment of our patient, then it will really affect. But our patients must realize, they must realize that it is important that should be honest on what they receive and what they do when they have this medicinal approaches with them, so that the doctors, or when they are hospitalized, they are aware of what is being taken care of about them.
Yes, that's the clear explanation from Dr. Elvira. So hopefully to the questioners, Diana Trilestari, your questions is overcome. And we still wait for the next questions, if any. You may raise your hand directly to us, to Dr. Elvira, or you may write down your questions through our Zoom chat room, please. Mr. Farid is raising hand. Yeah, okay, so I will give a turn to Mr. Farid to ask directly to Doctor. Time is yours. Mr. Farid?
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Safik. I am Ahmad Farid from Kudus University. Thank you, Dr. Elvira. My question, there is a relation with second question from Ms. Diana. What are the regulation related to the authority of health workers such as doctors, nurses, and other, where some of them carry out complementary practice such as acupuncture, cupping, and others, where on the other hand there are departments themselves that should have full authority to carry out this complementary practice, such as health worker who graduated from traditional heart acupuncture or diploma acupuncture. Thank you.
Thank you for that question.
So, if I'm not mistaken, for the questions is Mr. Farid asked about what is the relations between health workers such as a nurse, doctor to do a complementary therapy, or even can they do a complementary themselves to giving self-practice of complementary therapy? So that's the questions, Doctor.
Yeah, yes. I understand. We all remember that when we practice this kind of therapies, we must have license. Doctors have license, nurses have license. And so therefore, if we look into in these avenues, then we have to submit ourselves, submit to the policies, submit to the government health system on how we can be of help to them. I don't think so that we will be prevented from this, because it somehow we are approaching the objectives of giving or promoting health to our client. So therefore, it is just important that we coordinate. We have to make our interest be that of what the government says and what it will help us also, and not going overbound or going overboard with our approaches to this medical therapy. Again, just like doctors, there are some doctors, there are some nurses who are very good on this complementary medicine. But as I have said, license, regulations are all important. And so therefore, we must be aware. Nurses and doctors must be aware that we have really to process our knowledge on this and look into what aspect of the regulation in the government would help us identify our needs on this. So I think we really have to communicate well with our government agencies.
Right then, so that's a very detailed and clear explanation and answer from Dr. Elvira. So hopefully to Mr. Ahmad Farid, so your question is answered. And we still wait for any other questions, if any. So we still open one or two questions more. I think that was a really, really amazing discussions. So I'll invite all participants. Now we still have 145 participants joining for the symposium.
Yes, that's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah, that's very great.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And
Yes.
our this kind of interaction is very good because we both in two countries we
Yep.
both know and would be able to share experiences
Yes,
and
of course.
ideas
Of course.
that is from the Philippines and of course from you also.
Yeah.
Well, Indonesia is very close to my leadership because I've been several times in your place
Oh,
in
yeah.
Indonesia, and in fact, we have exchanges, faculty, students, credit transfer, and so many that is going on. Actually, I have one activity that I have with Manado right
Yep.
now.
Yep. I see that.
Yes, and they're having their participation on our introduction of our curriculum itself.
What
Thank you.
wonderful. Yes.
Thank
Okay. So, Doctor, we still wait another questions, if any. Do we still have another questions? We still get one. Okay. So, show the questions, please. Yeah. Okay, so the question is, Prof, there are many people who have high risk disease only because of their belief in Indonesia, and they only believe for the traditional medicine. So some of Indonesians are believe of the traditional medicines. And the question is there any suggestions for that problem? I think we could be the same in both in Indonesia and Philippines. We have like, what is so common?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes. To me, personally, I would like to answer that personally. Being a nurse is our role is to inform, to disseminate information to our client. It's very important that our client, the community, should know what is this all about, because there would be no participation among them if they do not know what is going on. And I believe that before we move into this, there must be some assessment to be done. And then after the assessment, we try to find out and plan. And so therefore, it covers in the planning how to disseminate informations like this. Because we always believe that when we look at our population, we are more on the traditional side. But if they will be given a heads up, they will be given proper orientation of all these things, then they would realize the importance of complementary medicine. So again, it's a matter of information.
I really see. Yeah. So, okay. So that's the answer for those questions. And do we still have chat room questions? Do we? No? Yes? Oh, no. No. Okay. So it seems that we don't have any more questions, Dr. Elvira. So I think this is really, really amazing presentation and discussion from Dr. Elvira. But unfortunately, so we still have a next sessions, Doctor. And maybe to end these sessions, I need Dr. Elvira to give please a closing statement, Doctor.
To UMKU, it's my pleasure to be invited as speaker, not only as a speaker, but a colleagues of yours.
Yeah.
Yes, I would not go into being a speaker. I'm more on sharing our expertise. So in our own little way, my own little way as Dean of the School of Nursing, I would like to share also what measures. But there are more experts on our field that can describe and discuss this very well. But in my own little way, I tried. And if you intend to learn more about this, I can guarantee that many experts from this field can be invited as well. So I thank the Rector and of course Amalia for having been very efficient in her.
Yes, Doctor.
Yes, and of course, the way that this presentation is well taken care of, I congratulate everyone,
Yep.
even the moderator with a nice voice, very appealing. Thank you so much. And I know that you don't celebrate Christmas, but here in the Philippines, we do celebrate. But at the same way, I would like to greet everyone a Merry Christmas. But, of course, this wouldn't be possible without all of you having this direction of your symposium to the level that everyone will really understand and appreciate.
Okay.
Maraming salamat po.
Right, so that's the end for the first session. Now, let's give a virtual applause to Dr. Elvira Urgel for the wonderful. So our rector sends greeting to you, Doctor.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, good morning,
Thank
and
you.
see you for the next presentation, Doctor.
Okay.
Right, in the second session, we have also wonderful presentation from Dr. Rusli, Professor Dr. Rusli bin Nordin. So before the presentation is done, let me keep in touch first with Professor Rusli. Have you been connected with us, Professor? Okay. Professor, have you been connected with us? So we still do not.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
I'm okay now.
Right, so it
Okay,
seems
thank you.
that Professor Rusli is ready to have a presentation. Today he will talk about the traditional and complementary medicines in Malaysia. Right, before he deliver a wonderful presentation today, let me read his curriculum vitae for a while. So his full name is Rusli bin Nordin, and he has so many experiences. Now she was a dean from Faculty of Medicine, Bioscience and Nursing. She is also has a 15-year experiences as a professor in public health of medicine. He has also a head of clinical schools, Johor Bahru. So to save our times now, let's go directly to the presentation from Professor Rusli. The stage is yours, sir. You have 30 minutes to present the presentations.
Thank you very much, moderator. Thank you very much, my colleagues and if I can request for the PowerPoint to be played, please.
Yes, Professor, let me help you to share the presentation
Can you
slides.
share the
of course.
PowerPoint slides? Okay, so thank you very much. So the title is very impressive, that of TCM, traditional and complementary medicine, and in Malaysia, especially, I think this the last 10 years or so, we have seen a dramatic increase in the utilization of TCM, and today I would like to share some of the this is more of research that has been done to identify some of the factors that are operating in terms of affecting the use of TCM in Malaysia, and what has eventually developed into a program under our Ministry of Health. Next slide, please. Okay, so basically, when we talk about traditional and complementary medicine, or in Bahasa Malaysia, perubatan tradisional, we have in Malaysia uniquely here the TCM is divided into these very distinct components. Number one, we have the so-called Malay traditional medicine, or perubatan tradisional Melayu. Okay, this is one of the oldest tradition of TCM in Malaysia, and some of the program that they have at the moment, I think, has been practiced even before the establishment of the division in the Ministry of Health. We have this urut, this massage, care of mothers, especially postpartum mothers, and then this bekam, moxibustion, and also herbal therapy. So many of these have been practiced many years, even as I said before, even the advent of modern medicine in Malaysia. This has been practiced in the villages in Malaysia, in the homes, and many of these have become a very important component of care for the Malaysian population. And then we have the other one is we have this the Chinese traditional medicine. So we call it perubatan tradisional Cina. Again, based on herbal therapy, moxibustion or bekam. We have the distinctly important one is acupuncture, right? We have and others which are a little bit more of a spiritual treatment. And then we have the Indian traditional medicine. The biggest one from India would be Ayurvedic medicine, Ayurveda, Siddha medicine, Unani medicine, naturopathy, and yoga. So this again, these are the TCM that has been practiced in Malaysia to some extent in various capacity. But later on, I will share with you some of the innovation that the Ministry of Health has done in Malaysia to improve this kind of practices. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. So these are the other one. Also very important contribution to TCM. Homeopathic medicine, a very important addition to our modern medicine. You have homeopathy. You have Islamic medicine, also very important because now even in the modern age, we still have treatment by practitioners, the ustads and so on, and the dukun bomo. So they have many of them has actually provided some form of spiritual meanings, and of course the other mix we have here would be chiropractic. Chiropractic, I think quite popular, chiropractic, especially in the urban area. We have the osteopathy, manipulation of your musculoskeletal system, and then nutritional therapy. We have the Swedish massage therapy, reflexology, right? Next slide. Thank you. Next slide. Okay. Yes. So I want to share. This is
Professor Rusli, we do not have your voice now. So Professor Rusli may be out of Zoom. So we still wait for Professor to join once again. So, Professor? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we still wait for Professor Rusli to continue the presentations. Maybe we still... So maybe Professor Rusli has a problem with the connection, so please just wait for a while. Professor, have you connected with us once again? So, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you an information that we have some problem of connections from Professor Rusli. So please just wait for the presentation from Professor. Professor? Hello.
Can
Yes.
you hear me
Okay,
now?
Professor. Yes, we got your
Yeah,
voice.
okay. So basically, I just want to share with you. As I said, this is a survey which is quite a bit old, but I think the findings that were important in shaping our approach to develop the TCM component in our Ministry of Health. Yeah. So this is actually a survey that has been undertaken as part of the plan to integrate TM into our hospital, our health services. So this decision, in terms of the TM, especially also is the willingness of the public to pay for the services of the TCM practices. So this and this again put under our act, which is the TCM Act 2013. Okay. And so, and this survey actually was is an important survey in this direction when we formulate our own law and also our registration for practitioners and also licensing, and also surveillance and of course and to next slide. Thank you. The slide's not moving. Yeah.
Professor? Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, so please be patient that Professor Rusli has a problem with the connections. Professor, have you connected with us once again? Okay, so officer, now please unmute Professor. Please now unmute Professor Rusli, who wants to continue the presentations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Very sorry, yeah, there's some issue about internet here.
Okay, Professor.
Okay, so I just want to summarize some of the findings from this National Health Mobility Survey. We found that up to about 30% of the Malaysian population had ever used any TCM practices. Okay, and more than 20% used TCM within the last 12 months with consultation. So it's a very high proportion of the population that are using TCM. And the figures also show that in the last 12 months since the study, female population, the ladies seem to be having higher access to TCM compared to males. And it seems that the urban population is also higher than rural population. So these are very, very significant finding of TCM utility in the Malaysian setting. And then we also look at what are the top preferences that the people in Malaysia have used to maintain wellness. Number one, again we see massage. Malay massage has seemed to be very popular at more than 40%. And then we have Chinese herbs, which are from the herbal shops and so on. And then the Malay herbs in terms of the utility of TCM, the intended use was for primary and complementary treatment. In other words, some of the population use the TCM as primary healthcare actually. Primary form of treatment, whereas some use it as complementary. This alternative treatment was less than 50%. Okay, and we also found that some of these TCM were used for minor illnesses like muscle pain, pubalgia, joint pain, muscle ache, back pain, and cough. Okay, next one. Next slide. And in terms of the how to obtain the TCM services, these are from various practices, for instance, like from the premises of the practitioners, especially for Chinese medicine, Indian medicine, homeopathy, and complementary therapy. For Malay traditional practices, especially Malay massage and Malay herbs, is obtained from the practitioner's house, and or even that they are being used in their own house. So they invite the practitioner to their house to offer these services. And then we have some of the population also paid a very high amount of money, willing to pay for these services, right? And these are all basically out-of-pocket expenditure. In other words, there's no support. Right? It's all from your own money to be able to provide these services. Next slide. And last but not least, the use of supplementary product. Health supplement is a very big business in this part of the world. Although it's not in principle not a TCM practice, but its use was very high, about more than 50%. Okay? And people are nowadays having access to supplement from various sources, especially online. Okay? This is again the major concern now, because online use of supplement product is not regulated well, and this can be potentially a source of problem and concern to the community. And majority of users are mainly urban population, more than 80%, and many of them use this supplement to maintain wellness. So the supplement industry, besides TCM, again is another area fast growing because of availability online and ease of getting and aggressive promotion. So it become okay. So these are some of the findings of this study. The first one, you can see that the traditional Malay medicine, we have herbs, cupping, massage. Traditional Chinese medicine, we have especially acupuncture, moxibustion or cupping, herbs, and also qigong, which is a form of exercise, exercise for health. And then the traditional Indian medicine, we have Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, yoga, and naturopathy. And then we have the other big one, homeopathy, Islamic medical practice, and also complementary therapy, which you can see here. There are four main components: mind-body medicine, biological-based therapy, manipulative therapy, energy therapy. So there's plenty of complementary medicine that have been used by Malaysian. Next one. Next slide. Here, I think this shows the go back to the slide. Go back to the previous slide. Yeah, this to show some of the study, the social demography of the respondent. Right? We have all the community representing all the states in Malaysia, in West Malaysia, and also in Sabah and Sarawak, and then both urban rural are represented. So male, female. Okay. Next slide. And age group, I can see, right from the youngest to the oldest, more than 75 years old. Ethnicity, all our the main population in Malaysia, Malay, Chinese, Indian, other Putra, others are all represented. And marital status, we have single, married, and widow. All these are represented in the study. Okay. Next one. Next slide. And these are again occupation. You can see that the study involved government employees, private employees, self-employed, unpaid worker, homemaker, retiree. So we get a very representative sample of the community. Income group as well. Those earning less than 1,000 to more than 10,000. So big spread, especially in the lower income group. And then the quantile from this group, you can see again, they are all very well distributed. Next slide. So the prevalence of ever using TCM with consultation, according to social demography, you can see here, for Malaysia itself, on the top panel, you see the prevalence is close to 30%. 30%. So that's very big component of the community that are using TCM. And location-wise, you can see that very well distributed between rural and urban, although it's slightly higher in the urban area. More female are using it here, and you can see again very high usage among Malay and Chinese community in Malaysia. And in terms of income group, as you can see that the higher bracket, middle higher income, seem to be dominating the number of users. Next one. Again, this is for the last 12 months. I think that it's same information here. We have prevalent and urban, rural, the sex and male female ethnicity same. It also fairly distributed in the last 12 months. Next slide. This is the use of TCM by practice. Okay, by practice. As you can see on the left side, you can see that the traditional Malay medicine seem to be very dominant, more than 50%. And then in terms of the last 12 months, again, you can see this on the left side, about 40%. These are all Malay medicine. So Malay medicine seems to be very popular in this part of the world. Next slide. And this is the reason for the 10 most preferred TCM practices. Okay, the majority I can see this basically the massage, Chinese herbs, Malay herbs, cupping and so on. So these are very popular. Right? Next slide. And again, these are the reasons, right? You see, this is also important information to formulate lateral policy. Malay herbs, Malay massage, cupping, and so on, and the Chinese herbs, acupuncture, qigong, and Ayurveda. These are major one. Islamic medicine, homeopathy, right? These are important part of TCM in Malaysia. Next one. Next slide. And these are again. Oh, sorry. Can you go back to the slide? Yeah. So intention for use of TCM. You can see there. One is primary treatment, primary care, about more than 40%. And then those the complement modern medicine, again more than 40%. And then the alternative treatment. Okay. In other words, it is basically alternative to modern medicine. It's close to 20%. Next one. And these again the categories of health problems that they are using TCM. You can see the majority are basically musculoskeletal, right? Musculoskeletal, aches and pain, respiratory system, reproductive, nervous system, cardiovascular, digestive, and so on. So these are the distribution of the health problems in which the population access the TCM services. Next. And these are the 20 health problems for which the practices were mostly used within the last 12 months. Again, you can see here, right? Sorry, it's not very clear there. We have the bottom one actually is musculoskeletal, and then myalgia, and then you have acute pain and the muscle pain, okay? Back pain, sprain, cough, wellness. These are the major ones. Up to at the top, you have stiffness, fracture, headache, and so on. Okay? So the full spectrum of everyday ailment, I see, especially the musculoskeletal part, which are the main area of use of TCM. Next one. Next slide. Again, here just to see again some of the distribution of the diseases, right? And where they are using this TCM, right? Even in things like diabetes, thyroid disease, right up to reproductive system, okay? Especially postnatal care, women after delivery, using this. And the big chunk here under musculoskeletal system, I can see, sprain, joint pain, muscle pain, back pain, all this pain are all myalgia, muscular pain, either as primary or as complementary. Next slide. Okay. So, in terms of the places where they access these TCM services, you can see that actually, in terms of Malay herbs especially, you can see majority to treatment at the TCM practitioner's house or at the TCM practitioner premise of practice. So these are the places that are used, okay? And that apply or more. These are very popular that they are being used in this kind of premises. Next. Next slide. Traditional Chinese shops.
Halo. Professor?
Okay. This is the places where the Chinese medicine are used. I already mentioned basically at the practitioner's premise or practice. Can we go to the next slide? Okay. This is about Indian medicine. Indian medicine basically again at the premise of the practitioners or practice, or even at the okay. So the treatment is for Indian medicine. Next one. Next slide. This is for the use of homeopathic medicine, homeopathic and Islamic medical practice. Again, you can go back. Can you go back to table 11?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we still wait for Professor Rusli to continue the presentations. So Professor Rusli has a little bit problem with the connections.
Yeah. There's a lot of problems. Sorry for the correction. Yeah. So we have homeopathy 44%. This is at the practitioner. 40% are done again here at the practitioner's house. So they have people visiting the houses to obtain the Islamic medical practice, spiritual healing. Yeah. Okay. Next one. Next slide. Again here for the other form of TCM, right? Chiropractic, reflexology, or medicine. You see, right? So the big distribution either done at the facility of the practitioners or even at the house. Okay, so the big distribution. Next one. All right. This is for the use of TCM, complementary medicine here, which are not so popular, but again it is being used in Malaysia. remote therapy, for example, aura, metaphysics, hypnotherapy, psychotherapy, you can see. Again, psychotherapy, for instance, is provided 100% at our government health facility. Okay, psychotherapy. Hypnotherapy at the practitioner's premise, right? Then we also have aromatherapy, which are at the practitioner's or at the premise or house. Okay, it's provided. Next one. Again, this one is the rest of the TCM that I mentioned just now. We call it level 2. We have distribution of aura, metaphysics, and so on. Again, distribution can be seen here, mainly at the premises or at the user's own house where the practice is done. Next one. So again, looking at the payment. Payment, for instance, here we found that for this is the amount that they used to spend on average. Amount paid, willing to pay. Okay, this is the amount. So this is the 1,000 of ringgit they have to pay. Next one. Next slide. This is again the pattern. This is distribution of the payment for Chinese medicine. You can see a little bit higher than the one for Malay medicine. Okay, this is again higher. Okay, you can see, and average can be about a few thousand. They have to pay if they are willing to use many of these herbal treatment, acupuncture, so on. Next one. And for Indian medicine, the most popular is again yoga and naturopathy. Okay, the payment here. Ayurveda to some extent, Ayurveda. Next one. And again for homeopathy, Islamic medical practice, right? Homeopathy is fairly popular here. Islamic medical practice, I think payment is not very high compared to homeopathy. Next one. Aromatherapy, nutritional therapy, definitely bit on the high side for nutritional therapy. Next one. Supplementary products. You can see here supplementary products. Amount paid. So there's a bit high side. Okay. Because as I said, population are willing to pay a lot of money to get a supplement from the market. All right. Next. And again, the supplementary products, as you can see, majority they obtain either from pharmacy or from kiosk or sales agent. Okay, this is one here. Yeah. But I think recently the new data suggests that many also obtain it from online sources of these supplementary products. Next. So conclusion is that. To conclude is that our TCM actually, despite the modernization of our healthcare system, TCM continues to be an important presence in Malaysia, okay? And it has quite an impact on the health of the Malaysian population. So we feel that there is a need to continue providing TCM practices to offer option for patients and for healthy individuals, especially in maintaining wellness and complementing mainstream medical system. And the services of TCM are obtained at various facilities depending on the practice offered, as you can see from the data. The cost of services for the majority of TCM practices is within an affordable rate, and supplementary products were abundantly consumed by the Malaysian population. This last one I mentioned here because now become an issue because of difficulty in regulating the supply and the use of supplementary products. Some can be quite toxic to community, right? Yeah. Next one. So these are some of the recommendations at the time. Huh? Therefore, we feel that to be able to regulate the use of TCM, to integrate into our healthcare system, okay, and to provide some form of registration for practitioners of TCM. So we need to have a formalized TCM unit. This is established under Ministry of Health, especially under government hospital, and expanded to other healthcare facilities, our clinic kesihatan. Services within TCM also should be increased in light of the demand for the TCM. But we need to monitor each TCM practices, again based on the place of practice. And I mentioned about registration, monitoring of supplementary products should be strengthened. Very important. We have to register and to monitor, because this become issue now. And more research is required for TCM, especially in Malay herbs, because some of the Malay herbs actually they found that when they do proper scientific studies, they yield a lot of new products, modern scientific products, which are derived from this Malay herbal therapy, and this require a lot of scientific study, so that it becomes safe. And they even have to do clinical trial. At the moment, clinical trial have been done. Example, our tocotrienol, recently from our palm oil, we have done a study on that. So this is a very big area of research in Malaysia. Next one. So to the last slide. This is last slide. I share with you because one of the strategy arising from all this study that we done for the last 10 years, it culminated in the development of this new division, the division of traditional complementary medicine, or bahagian perubatan tradisional and complementary of the Ministry of Health, Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia. And this is a very important landmark development in Malaysia, because for the first time, a division has been set up within the Ministry of Health, and this division has areas that includes licensing, monitoring, registering the practitioners, looking at their qualification, training them, providing training, and especially those practitioners who have been quite long in the field. They have been what you call grandfather or grandmother of TCM. They are provided this kind of training, so that they become registered, can be allowed to practice. Some practice many of the practices are still not integrated into our hospital. Okay? So we have side by side. For instance, in many of our major hospitals, we have TCM operating side by side. We have also TCM so distributed across the country. So in this way, our community are able to make sound decision to utilize the TCM either as primary or complementary to modern medicine. So this is, I think, one of the biggest development and innovation in Malaysia, because for the first time it become formalized. The system become formalized, and we determined to make sure that the TCM practice safe. The main thing is that it is safe for community, and also that's why we are worried about supplement in the market. That is another one that the ministry is currently trying to monitor and to regulate, and also although difficult, these supplementary products. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think sorry for the computer glitches, our internet down here in my faculty. I hope that I've shared some of the findings in terms of the use of TCM in Malaysia. And if you need further information, you can always go online. You can check through our Ministry of Health under TCM. You have a lot of information there. Thank you very much.
Right, you are most welcome, Professor. So now let's give a virtual applause once again to Professor Rusli for the wonderful research presentation. So what amazing. So it will be really glad for us to hear a very, very qualified research presentations from Professor Rusli. And once again, So I think all of you participants need to have questions to Professor Rusli. After this, we will invite you all to join once again for a question and answer sessions. So if you have any questions, so you may write down your questions through our Zoom chat room or also raising your hand to ask directly to Professor Rusli. Do we have any questions? Okay.
Can I just respond to some of these on the chat? No? There's
Yes.
two questions on chat.
Of course.
One was the question regarding Perubatan Malaysia Penjagaan Ibu. That is the maternal health, maternal care.
So
basically, this one, I think the majority of these are basically other antenatal care and also postnatal care. Postnatal. I think this is very popular now in Malaysia, not only within the provided by the Ministry of Health, the hospital, and so on. But we also have even premises, business premises offering. They call it the these mothers who have already just delivered. They call it in Malay dalam pantang, masa pantang, which is during confinement. So very popular now in Malaysia and become a very big industry. For the care of these mothers. They provide anything from massage, aromatherapy, some advice, nutrition, and so on. So these are some. And then for antenatal care, same thing, for care of the mother and baby during the antenatal period. So that is what is meant by this penjagaan ibu as a whole. Thirdly is that for maternal health, also this services provided especially to recognize this part of the services provided for mothers to prevent some of the major problem among women, like to detect early detection of breast cancer, for instance, very important. Breast cancer, all the big cancers, cervical cancer, ovarian cancer, these are things. On top of that, we problem of obesity, not only women but also men. It's a rising epidemic, not the endemic. Obesity become the new epidemic in this part of the world. People becoming more and more obese. So this again one of the popular use of TCM, try to bring back health to ladies. And then the second question is that implementation of Islamic medical therapy. How effective is it in terms of physiological changes? Islamic medical therapy, this is spiritual therapy, very popular, not only in the rural area, surprisingly, even in the urban area, where many people are coming for. I think this again based on the culture and the belief. For instance, like some of the biggest one is seher, seher, which is some form of black magic. And I think this is a very popular notion. Many of diseases which cannot be explained by modern medicine. So this become an area of therapy for people who believe that they have been, been affected by black magic or seher, and they come for treatment. And treatment are basically the use of Quranic verses, some of the mantra from the health practitioners, try to remove the so-called evil spirit from bodies and so on. Very popular, very popular. Although it's very difficult for us to ascertain what exactly is the mechanism, but because it's a spiritual therapy, therefore it is really relying on this kind of Quranic treatment, Quranic therapy, right? Quranic therapy, use of holy water and so on. So very popular, as I said, not just in the rural but also in the urban area.
Thank you, Professor Rusli, for the wonderful clarifications. So do we have still any questions through our Zoom chat room? Please, officers, show the questions. All to those participants who want to ask directly to Professor Rusli, so you may raise your hand and ask to Professor. Do we? Yeah, I think now we are in the right time and right place. So to have a very wonderful presentations from Professor Rusli, I think it's gonna be really attractive. So when you need to know more about the research from the Professor Rusli that has been done before. So dear participant, if you still have questions, we still open a questions and answer session for this session. Do we? No? Okay. So Professor Rusli, seems that we don't have any more questions. And I'd like to say once again, this is a really, really amazing research presentation from Professor Rusli. And before we end this sessions, I might ask Professor Rusli once again to please give a closing statement for the wonderful presentation today.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So I think message is that that TCM is going to be on an increase for community, not just in Malaysia but I suppose in Indonesia as well, and it is still a very strong influence on the population. But only things that I think important that as like any other profession, it need to be regulated, it need to be registered, the practitioners need to be registered, monitored, and government must be also aware, have a surveillance to look at potentially any issue, especially now I mentioned about supplement, people buying supplement online, which is a major issue now in Malaysia. I'm also, I think also maybe in Indonesia as well, or other part of the world. And this is something that the international community has to take note of, so that we can avoid any of the potentially toxic effect on community. So I think this is responsibility of the ministry and also the country as a whole, so that we can practice TCM safely and to the benefit of our community. Thank you.
You are most welcome, Professor Rusli. Once again, give a virtual applause to Professor Rusli. Right, then this is the end for the second sessions of this international symposiums, and I'd like to say thank you very much, Professor Rusli. See you again in the next presentation. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Professor.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Right then, so don't go anywhere. Still joining our international symposium. We still have another interesting presentations. So for the third presentations is the presentation from Professor Dyah Aryani Perwilasari. So, Professor, have you connected with us?
Yes, I'm available here.
Yes, okay, seems that Professor has connected with us. So in the third presentation, Professor Dyah Aryani will talk about the same complementary therapy. And before she deliver her wonderful presentations, so I might read her curriculum vitae for a while. So Professor, would you hear my voice?
Professor? Yes,
okay.
I'm here.
Right then, so now
I can hear your voice, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Professor. So before the presentations, so let me read first her curriculum vitae. Her full name is Dyah Aryani Perwilasari. Now she is a professor, sorry. Now she lives in Fakultas Farmasi Kampus 3 Universitas Ahmad Dahlan, Jalan Profesor Dr. Supomo, Janturan, Yogyakarta. So her educational background, she begins the bachelor degree from Faculty of Pharmacy, Gadjah Mada University in 2002, and also she continued the master degree in Faculty of Pharmacy also from Gadjah Mada University also, and she continued the doctoral degree. Now she got a double doctoral degree. Now we may give applause for her. So for the first doctoral degree obtained for medicine faculty, right, from the Gadjah Mada University, so focusing on pharmacoepidemiology in 2012, and then continue a second doctoral degree in Leiden University, Medical Center, Netherlands, for pharmacogenetic, and then she graduated in 2013. Now she is a dean of the Faculty of Pharmacy of Universitas Ahmad Dahlan, and she is also a lecturer. There are so many awards achieved by Professor Dyah, and once of that, so she is now also a national reviewer, and she get also many awards. There are so many research that I could not mention one by one. So now, to save our time, let's go directly to the presentation from Professor Dyah. The stage is yours now, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much for the nice introduction. But there is a little mistake. I'm not a dean anymore.
Oh my God.
Currently,
Yes.
only lectures. Yeah.
Okay,
I just
Professor.
finished my responsibility as the dean on July 2022. I'm going to start my presentation, and before I start my presentation, I'm really thanks to the committee for the opportunity and for the invitation for being the speaker in this international symposium. I hope my presentation will awake us in the pharmacist perspective. Especially, I believe that there are some pharmacists among the audience or the participants. My topics or my title on this presentation is the pharmacist role in the complementary alternative therapy. And as mentioned by the moderator, I'm from Faculty of Pharmacy, Universitas Ahmad Dahlan, Yogyakarta, Indonesia. And the key points for the presentation, firstly, I'm going to a little bit talk about the definition and some examples, which is especially related with the pharmacist role in the analog things with the complementary alternative medicine. And then what we can do for the complementary alternative medicines, which is related with the pharmacist role, of course. And then the quality of life as the outcome treatment. I saw that there is questions to the previous speaker about the psychological effect. Maybe this point or this presentation will answer your questions. And and then we are going to talk about the barriers of practices for the complementary alternative medicine, and then of course our role as the lecturer in the School of Pharmacy or Pharmacy College, which are starting from the curriculum building. And this is the first part of my presentation about the definition and examples. Complementary alternative medicine, or some people also call it complementary alternative therapy, is also already mentioned by the rector in the opening speech that these are the treatments that falls outside the mainstream healthcare. So we are not for getting better from the disease, we are not only depend on the medicine, but also another things like homeopathy, acupuncture, chiropractic, cerebral medicine, and other examples like what the previous speaker mentions. So from the definition of complementary is a non-mainstream practice which is used together with the conventional medicines, and then the alternative is a non-mainstream practice which is used instead of conventional medicine. But these terminologies between complementary and alternative sometimes used interchangeably. Regarding the complementary and alternative medicine or complementary and alternative therapy, there are some points that we have to be focused on, which are related with the pharmacy's responsibilities. First is related with the polypharmacy. Polypharmacy definition is an individual get the prescription or maybe non-prescription medicines with the number of medicine more than 5, or there are some definitions related with the polypharmacy. Some people call that there are more than 3 medicines, or maybe more than 5 medicines, or there also defined that more than 5 medicines in particular times of medical durations. So of course the polypharmacy is we have to be focused because there will be some drug-drug interaction among those medicines. And the behavior of complementary alternative medicines usually related with the self-medication, because people sometimes try to find out another alternative besides using the medicines. Based on the drug-drug interaction, then we have also the possibility for drug-food interaction here, and also the drug-herbs interaction. So these 5 points is very related with the complementary and alternative medicines, and we as the pharmacists, of course, have to understand about what we have to do related with these points. I will give you a simple examples which can be analog to be used in the complementary and alternative medicines. I think this medicine, femurafenib, is not available in Indonesia. This is the immunomodulator or immunosuppression therapy for the cancer disease, and this is what we call it with the targeted therapy, which are related with the gene mutation. So the femurafenib is well known as the substrate of the CYP3A4 and CYP3A4, and CYP3A4 subenzyme is a part of subfamily from the cytochrome E450, which are responsible for most of the metabolism of drugs or medicines in our body. So because femurafenib is a substrate of the CYP3A4, so if the doctor or maybe the patient got the prescription or medication which has a characteristic as the CYP3A4 inducer, or maybe CYP3A4 inhibitors, or maybe in the category of CYP3A4 moderate of inhibitor and inducers, so we have to be careful with the lower or higher concentration of femurafenib in the blood. For the medication which are in the category of CYP3A4 inducer and the strong inducer, so the concentration of femurafenib in the serum will lower, and we have to avoid the use of the femurafenib in the use of the medication which are in the category of CYP3A4 inducers. Also with the medication which are in the category of CYP3A4 strong inhibitors, the concentration of femurafenib in the serum will increase, and so we have to avoid the use of this medication. But with the CYP3A4 medication, with the medication which are included or in the category of CYP3A4 moderate inhibitors or inducers, so we have to monitor about the treatment outcome using the femurafenib. And femurafenib also can inhibit CYP1A2 and also CYP2C9, to D6. So we have to be careful if Vemurafenib used with the other medications which as the substrates of the CYP1A2 or CYP2C9 or CYP2D6. So we have to avoid the use of this medication as the substrate of these three enzymes. Another example is related with another targeted therapy for cancer disease. So we name it Complementary. This is also still the new drugs and not available as well in Indonesia. Complementary is a substrate for CYP3A4 in CYP3A4 as well. And then if we take or the patients take the Complementary together with the medications which are in the category of CYP3A4 inducers, moderate to strongs, and CYP3A4 inhibitors from the category moderate to strong. So we have to avoid the use of the medication. But for the CYP3A4 inhibitors with the category moderate to strong, so we have to can decrease the dose of the Complementary until 20 milligram per day because it will cause the higher concentration of Complementary in the serum. So if we are going to use the herbs or traditional medicine as a part of a complementary alternative medicine, so we have to be careful about some medication which could be used together with the main medication for the disease. Here we know the example of CYP3A4 inhibitors like amiodarone, cimetidine, clarithromycin, etc. So we also define some food like fruits here like grapefruit juice, which also has a category as the CYP3A4 inhibitor. And here you can see some of medication are very common use in Indonesia for every kind of disease, like for example cimetidine, and some antibiotic like clarithromycin, ciprofloxacin, yeah. And then CYP3A4 inducer, here we can see some barbiturates, carbamazepine, dexamethasones, and this is also very common to be used in Indonesia for with the right indication. And then CYP2C8 inhibitors and inducers, here we can see one of the example is rifampicin as the inducer of CYP2C8. Yeah, so we have to be careful with this list of drugs because it could be have an interaction with other medication or maybe with the herb medicines. So if we find the many medication which are including or in the category of the inhibitors or inducer of some subenzyme, so the pharmacist can do things. The first is the prescription validation. In this activity, we can validate the clinical indication and appropriate therapy, and then validating the dose, validating the route of administration and dosing schedule, and also validation the dosage adjustment versus the toxicity, and together with the renal or with considering the renal or hepatic function. And then we also have to give educations, especially to the other healthcare professional and also to the patients, which are related with the medication history, medication reconciliation, and the patient counseling, side effect prevention and management, managing drug interaction, counseling on complementary or alternative therapy. And other things here, these two things are prepared before the medication provided to the patient or before the prescription is given to the patient. And others like side effect management and supportive care, and also as the facilitator role for drug access, research and managing clinical trial is all other of the pharmacist role outside in the that of the prescription, validation, and also education. So when we consider to use the natural product, for example, herbal medicine or also traditional medicine, other traditional medicine as the complementary alternative medicine, especially in the cancer disease, so we have to be to consider what is the indication of complementary alternative medicine. If the indication is only for the adjuvant setting, so we have to avoid it, because in the adjuvant setting we have to focus on the treatment of the cancer itself, and try to avoid some drug interactions, drug-drug interaction, or also drug-herb interaction. But in the metastatic setting, we can categorize into two sites. The first site is if we didn't find any interaction or no documented interaction, so we can continue to use the complementary alternative medicine. But if there are documented interactions, so we have to avoid the complementary and alternative medicines. And then from the no documented interaction, we also can be categorized into the potential theoretical interaction and also no potential theoretical interaction. For the no potential theoretical interaction, so individual decisions is needed to with regard to the patient situation. But if there are potential theoretical interactions, then we have to avoid or minimize the direct concomitant use. For example, we let the cancer treatment finish first until 3 to 5 half-life of elimination for the cancer treatment. Then we can use the complementary alternative medicine, so we can avoid the potential theoretical interaction. And these are the example of drug-drug interaction between in the cancer treatment, of course. So you can see here some of the medication for the cancer treatment, and also with the other concomitant medication. For example, loperamide here, loperamide concentration will increase with abiraterone because of the CYP3A4 inhibition. And then for the use of anagrelide here and clozapine or tramadol will increase the cardiac rhythm disorders. This can be checked in the books.com. And also for the use of anagrelide with clopidogrel, for example, it can be increase the risk of bleeding because of the higher concentration of clopidogrel, and etc. And here we can find it in the website, drugs.com, or other websites which has or presents the drug-drug interactions. Mostly the drug-drug interaction is very related with the subenzyme of the medication metabolism in heparin. So you can see here there are role of the CYP3A4, mostly if it's the CYP3A4. And here the examples of the oral anti-cancer drug and also the herb drug interactions. You can see here maybe one of the cancer medication here, cyclophosphamide, and there is an interaction with Angelica sinensis. The consequences of the interaction is the addition of adverse drug reaction, which are related with the hematology toxicities, and the pharmaceutical interventions should be the therapeutic monitoring. This is only for example. And another is related with the gefitinib, which has interaction with the radicinoid and rooibos here, and there should be stopped because the addition of adverse drug reaction which are related with nausea for the patients. Of course, the nausea here is not simply nausea, but it can cause difficulties to eat, or maybe can cause the anorexia. So the nutritional of the patient will not enough. And then here is related with the hematologic toxicities as well. So the use of herbal medicine must be stopped. And this list also present the pharmaceutical intervention, and mostly recommendation for the herbal drug is must be stopped because we have to avoid the adverse drug reaction like hematology toxicities, and then for example here, yeah, mostly hepatotoxicities as well. And about the psychological effect of herbal medicine, or maybe traditional medicine, or others of the complementary alternative medicine, we can see from the measurements of the patient's quality of life. Of course, this I take this data from the cancer patients. Here we can see the comparison between. The comparison between the homeopathy, the comparison of patients' quality of life between the patients, cancer patient treated with homeopathy and cancer patient treated with the placebo. Of course, the placebo here is related with the cancer medication, and we use particular instruments for measuring the patient's quality of life. We use AURTC, QLQC30. That is the very famous quality of life instruments which are related with the cancer disease, and there are some functions which are measured in these instruments, like functional global health scale, functional scale, physical function, role function, emotional function, cognitive function, and also social function. And also, there are some symptom scales in these questionnaires, like fatigue, nausea, vomiting, pain, dyspnea, etc. here. So in the baseline or the first visit of the cycle of the chemotherapy, there are no significant differences between the homeopathic patient and also the placebo groups, and the non-significant is included in all function and also in all symptom scales. But as you can see here, the score or the value of the function is quite low, as most of them are below than 70. And the symptom scale here is we have some symptom scale high, like here 51.9, and then if you compare to the second visit on the 9 weeks, or maybe the next cycle of the chemotherapy, as you can see here, there are significant differences between the homeopathic groups and also the placebo groups, both in the functional scale and also the symptom scale. And the score is also nice. The score for the homeopathic group is higher than the score of the functions in the placebo groups, and the symptom scales is also present that the symptom scale in the placebo group is higher than the symptom scale for the homeopathic groups. So in general, this study suggests that the homeopathy positively influence not only quality of life, but there is also the overall survival. And the definition of homeopathy here is a wide variety of source materials, like the use of derivatives from plants, herbs, minerals, or animal products. And if we are also thinking about what is quality of life is an individual perception of their position in life in the context of the culture and also value system in which they live in a relation to their goals, expectations, standards, and also concerns. So the quality of life is include the physical, emotional, and social perspective of the patients. And regarding to this study, costs for the additive homeopathic remedies are very low compared to the immuno-oncologic approach, which I mentioned before, for the personalized medicine or for the targeted treatment for the cancer disease. Thereby, the additive expenses of homeopathic drugs are negligible on the context of cancer treatment costs as the complementary alternative medicines. And how about the barriers of the pharmacist practice regarding the complementary alternative medicines? Actually, the responsibility of the pharmacist first is providing the evidence-based recommendations to consumers regarding the complementary medicines. And we have a lot of evidence-based recommendation. You can see from the literature, from the PubMed or other literatures, there are already comparison of complementary medicines with the placebo or the other groups, and some beneficial of the outcome treatment for the complementary alternative medicine compared to the placebo or the other groups. And also the pharmacists should train all staff in pharmacy, including the technician of pharmacies, to ensure that they provide evidence-based recommendations regarding the complementary medicine and refer to a pharmacist when required. So the things of practice of complementary alternative medicine is very related with the evidence-based literatures, evidence-based recommendations, because we have to give the right education to other health professionals and also to the patients. And then when providing the advice, pharmacists should provide sufficient information for consumers to make informed decisions regarding complementary alternative medicines. Yeah, we have to give complete information from the right indication, how to use it, or how about the dose or the concentration which should be made regarding to the preparation of the complementary alternative medicines, and also about the perspective or side effect of adverse drug reaction, because there could be some drug-herb interaction, or maybe the adverse drug reaction from the drug itself or from the complementary alternative medicines. Also, pharmacies should set up the pharmacy so that consumers are provided an offer of advice from pharmacies when purchasing complementary medicines, and pharmacies should be available to provide that advice. Yeah, so this is what we call the availability of the pharmacies in the pharmacy or the drugstore. And pharmacists must vigilant for possible harms related to complementary medicines and intervene if risk of harm is significant. So regarding this responsibility, we realize that our barriers is very related with the evidence-based recommendations, maybe the skill of the pharmacist to find the evidence-based recommendation, and then to prepare the sufficient information for the patients or for the other health professional, and then also have a particular space or particular place to have a dialogue or communication with the patients regarding to the use of the complementary alternative medicines. And lastly is about to vigilant with the possible harms which are related to the herbal medication or maybe the drug-herb interactions. And about the position of the pharmacies, there are two big items for the barriers. First is about the providing the advice. So for the barriers related with the providing of advice, so the proactive things is related with the confidence, the self-confidence of the pharmacists, and then how to have enough education or enough skill to promote the naturopaths or maybe the complementary alternative medicines, and also the promotes practitioners only, which aligns to the consumers. So this is related with the proactive action of the pharmacists, which are self-confidence and then enough skill or enough knowledge for the evidence-based recommendation and the practitioners' things. So the barriers is sometimes the pharmacist is less confident and maybe they are not sure about the evidence base of naturopath or complementary alternative medicines, and they are also not do or not practice with the naturopaths of or complementary alternative medicines. And the other barriers is related with the visibility of the frameworks of the pharmacies related with the complementary alternative medicines. So from the positive things of the visibility of the frameworks must be acceptable and visible to be applied in the community or maybe in the hospital, and should be aligned with the recommendation. And yeah, several pharmacies have to skill or ability about the public health acumen, because they have to provide the facts to the patients or community or maybe the other health professional. And the barriers is of course related with the invisibility of the frameworks, and then no facilities to support the information or maybe no staff training, and of course regarding the cost. And how about the patient perspective? Here we can see that some patients are very welcome with the pharmacist role, especially related with the complementary alternative medicine. We can see from the patient which give the strongly satisfied here. The first question, we use some questionnaire here from the particular study. For the first questionnaire is about did the pharmacist give the patient enough information about the side effect of complementary alternative medicines, and most of the patients or the consumers answer strongly satisfied with the information. And then the second question is related with the medical history, which assessed by the pharmacist before dispensing the complementary alternative medicine, like disease history, medication, allergy, etc. And most of the patient or the consumer is also strongly satisfied. And then the third question is about the how pharmacists tell the patient to use the complementary alternative medicine products, which are related with the dose, timing, and duration. And most of them also answer the strongly satisfied, and also with the other question which are related with enough time to do the communication about the complementary alternative medicine, and knowledge to explain things which understandable to the community, and also provide that complementary alternative medicine interaction. So if we can use this questionnaire also to reflect, to do the reflection for us as the pharmacist, whether we already available to give the practice or the service which are related with the complementary alternative medicines. And how to face this situation or to prepare the complementary alternative medicine practice, which should be done by the pharmacy. So starting for the curriculum. I think not all of the School of Pharmacy in Indonesia has a big concern on the complementary alternative medicines. I will give you some examples in the other university. For example, here in the Arizona State University is for the bachelor degree or the bachelor sciences, there are 15 credits for the core course, and then 12 credits for the concentration course, and also 18 credits which are related with courseworks. In total, there are 45 credits for complementary alternative medicine. And as you can see here, the core course is related with the introduction to holistic health, and then overview about the complementary health system, complementary evidence-based complementary health modalities, community-based complementary health service, and also seminar. And there are some concentration course or alternative course with related with the work, health and family, community mental health, and internship in human health studies, special topics, readings, pro-seminar, and also individual interaction. So this is very interesting because usually in Indonesia, complementary alternative medicine is only given or provided in maybe maximal is 10 credits, and the topic is not really like this. It's all still in the basic topics. Other examples is in the Metropolitan State College of Denver. There are 21 credits here, and this is related with the this is a part for the holistic health and wellness education with the multidisciplinary minors. This is related with the dynamics of health, interjection of holistic health, physical fitness of technique and programs, and holistic health and high level wellness, and also introduction to nutrition. And in the other Georgian Court College, there are 18 credits in one semester, which also related with the holistic health, Eastern approach for nutrition, and also other alternative healing methods. And this is the examples of the bachelor of science or bachelor degree in herbal science. There are 90 credits in whole of the semester, and they are interesting, started from the organic chemistry, of course, anatomy and physiology, foundation of herbal science, and until the end is herbal science in laboratory, business practice of in herbal science, ethnobotany, etc. You can see here, to prepare the pharmacists as the practitioners in the complementary alternative medicine, we need to provide more credits to the students instead of only 10 credits for whole semester in the bachelor degree. And my last of presentation, the conclusion, we have a challenge for the higher education. Of course, if we want to prepare our pharmacist graduates for ready to practice the complementary alternative medicine, so we start from the curricula by finding the graduate profile, finding the community needs, what is actually the community needs in the complementary alternative medicines. Maybe we can also explore in what kind of diseases, for example in cancer, or maybe in diabetes mellitus or hypertension, etc. And then we have to discuss a lot with the experts to develop the curriculum. We have to give proper and enough facilities, facilities and infrastructure, of course, and also we have to adjust our research area or research group in the topic of national research, which is related with the development of the traditional medicine or herbal medicine. And then the second one is we have to develop the collaboration with the stakeholders, because we need more practice in this area, not only lecture, but also with the practice on the practices could be in the practice in the laboratory and also field practice of field work. And then the third one is providing the continuing professional development for the community and hospital pharmacists, especially related with the evidence-based recommendation and about the drug-herb interaction, and also what should the pharmacists do regarding the vigilance of the health of the complementary alternative medicines. And then next one is focusing the research topic in this area. Like I mentioned before, that we have to also adjust our research group topic with the national research topic. And then following and developing the evidence base, of course, I think the pharmacy student have to enough skill and also knowledge about how to find the evidence-based recommendation or evidence-based literature for as the basic to communicate or educate the patients or other health professionals. Yeah, I think this is the end of my presentation. These are all my references used for developing this PowerPoint, and thank you very much.
You are most welcome, Professor Dyah Aryani, for the wonderful research presentations. I think this is a really, really amazing research presentation. And so, yeah, I think the participant also would like to know more about your research presentations, Professor. And after this, we would like to invite you all once again in the discussion session, question and answer sessions. If you have any questions, suggestions, or anything, you may write down the questions through our Zoom chat room, or also you may even raise your hand to ask directly to Professor Dyah for the wonderful research presentation. Is there any? Is there any questions? Oh, yes. Okay, so first questions coming from Mrs. Yayu Mudiastuti. So the question is, hello, Professor Dyah. Nice sharing. Sorry, out of the topic. So the question is, in Indonesia, there is a national issue about the use of dangerous children's syrup drug. And then in a term of what kind of nationality and what are the right effort? So first questions. And second question, related to the issue, there may be what types of a complementary therapies can be applied to the child. So that's the first question from Mrs. Yayu Mudiastuti. Professor Dyah, you may have answers and clarifications for these questions.
Okay, thank you very much. That's a little bit out of the topic, I think. Yeah, but it's okay because this become the national issue in the last period, maybe last month or last few months. Yeah.
Yes.
The first is about the syrups, which are
really
syrups issue.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So drug in the form of the syrup, so will be banned. Okay.
Yeah, the government actually already mentioned some syrups and also already published to the community which what is the name of the syrup which could be which have a content the dangerous content in this syrup. So what the people can do is just find the information about that, the name of the syrups, and then we have to avoid to buy the syrups. And also I think the pharmacies, the apotek, I mean in Indonesia already keep away the syrup to be sold in their pharmacy or in their apotek. So I think yeah, there are the efforts from the government, and I think the governments work very fast because they did some analysis from many of syrups which are available in Indonesia, and then they got the result, and then they publish the result, which one is the dangerous, and then we have to avoid to buy these syrups. Yeah, that's a quite nice effort from the governments with fast working, I think. Yeah, that's the right effort, and then we have for our as the lecturer or maybe as the government employee, so we have to be more careful with the quality control or quality assurance of the raw material, because it's not only depend on the raw material, but it can be the dangerous contents can be came from the interaction after the syrups already processed. Yeah, so the quality control is not from the raw material but also from the syrup as well. So that's what we can do for the government employee in a particular institution. And then related to the issue, there may be what types of complementary therapies. I think we have no complementary therapies for that issue. We have to be careful because children which are put that syrups, they experience or they have kidney disease, so it's better than that we have to focus on the medicines from the doctor or from the hospital. We don't have to buy complementary alternative medicine for the children which already experience the kidney disease because of that issue. Yeah, so because you can see that there may be the adverse reaction for the herbal medicine, which might be related with the hepatotoxicity or maybe be related with the renal function. So we have to be more careful with that. And then I think that's all. Or is it
Right.
answer your question?
Okay,
Yeah?
so for the first question, so yeah, I think the answer has the questions has been answered by Professor Dyah. So hopefully to those who ask, Mrs. Yayuk Mundiastuti, your questions is already answered. And now we will move to the next questions from Mrs. Retno. So the question is, Assalamualaikum Professor Dyah, I'm glad to meet you again. Always very nice your sharing. Professor Dyah, how about your opinion about the implementations TNCM in Indonesia, about the regulations or policy? Because we have so many herbal medicines can use for therapy, supportive and alternative. So that's the question from Mrs. Retna. Professor, you may have an answer.
Okay, so thank you very much, Bu Retno, for your question. It's very interesting questions. For the implementation of TCM in Indonesia, of course, is very different with the implementation of TCM in the other countries like in Chinese or maybe in Taiwan or maybe in Singapore. Yeah. So like what I already mentioned before, that we have to be focused on the evidence-based recommendation. So you also mentioned we have so many herbal medicines which can use for therapy supportive and also an alternative. So we have to make sure that this herbal medicine already have the evidence-based proof, bukti terkini, and then we can use it to support the therapy, to support the main therapy. If there are no evidence-based, maybe it's based on the empirical experience, so we have to be careful. We have to predict or to find the potential drug-herb interaction first. Potential drug-herb interaction, that's the first, and the second is the adverse drug reaction of the herbal medicine or the traditional Chinese medicine. And I think traditional Chinese medicine is also very varied. It's not only related with the herbal, but also other things like massage or aromatherapy or acupuncture. It is still possible, but if you have to consume it together with the main medication, for example, for cancer disease or for diabetes disease or maybe hypertension, so you have to be careful for the drug-herb interaction. So find the evidence-based recommendation for that. Yeah.
Right, so that's the explanation from Professor Dyah. So hopefully the questions from Mrs. Retna is already answered. Now we still wait another questions, if any. Do we still have more questions? Okay. No? Seems that we do not have more questions, Professor Dyah. So I would like to say once again, so thank you for the wonderful research presentation from Professor Dyah. But before I end this session, Professor, I need you to please give a closing statement for the wonderful research presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. So we are talking about the pharmacist's role in the practice of complementary alternative medicine or complementary alternative treatment. So firstly, what we have to be careful is about the evidence-based recommendations. And if we are thinking about the empirical practice for the particular complementary alternative medicine, then we have two things about the drug-herb interaction and also the adverse herb reactions, which could be potentially appear for the patients. That's all.
Thank you very much. So now please give a virtual applause once again to Professor Dyah. Right. So thank you, Professor Dyah. Have a nice day and see you in the next presentation. Thank you very much.
You.
And well, ladies and gentlemen, don't go or don't leave the room. We still have more presentations. So for the next presentations, I will invite all three speakers to join in the one panel presentations, and then maybe the discussion can be done after all presentations. So next presentations will be from Dr. Emi, and then continued by Dr. Wayan, and the last will be from Mrs. Noor Khalifa. So next presentation will be from Dr. Emi Nurjasmi. So Doctor, have you been connected with us?
Yes,
Dr.
of
Emi?
course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like another presenter, Dr. Emi will present about the wonderful presentations, talking about the complementary therapy, of course. So before she deliver a wonderful presentation, so let me read her curriculum vitae for a while. Her full name is Emi Nurjasmi, and then she is the president of Indonesian Midwife Association right now. Her educational background, she completed a bachelor degree of public administrations in Banda Aceh, and she continued the master degree of public health, Universitas of Indonesia, and continued the doctoral degree of educational management in Jakarta State University. About the working experiences, there are so many working experiences that I can mention one by one. So at least she is joining the ICM board member as a representative of Southeast Asia regions, lectures on midwifery program, study of health, polytechnic until now, and also staff of midwife and MCH division provincial health office DI Aceh. So okay, now to save our time, let's go directly to the presentations from Dr. Emi Nurjasmi. The floor is yours now, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much for the moderator. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang dan salam sejahtera buat kita semua. First of all, I would like to thank you to the Rector of Muhammadiyah University Kudus, and also with the team that invited me to join in this important webinar, important symposium. And also I would like to thank you to the previous speaker. They give us many information about the complementary services in health. Okay, now I would like to start my presentation. May I share my screen?
Of course, ma'am. Yes, of course.
Yes. Oh, okay, wait. Okay, you can see?
Yes, now. We can see the slide clearly.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think that we have been get many information from previous speaker. I think that already information mentioned about the complementary therapy or complementary care specific in health. I think that we get already many information. Now I just remind us, I just give maybe some information. How is the midwife roles of the complementary therapy in midwifery care? We are talking specific in midwifery care. Okay, let's see before we start. Oh, why? Okay, let me see first about midwifery as a profession. Midwifery is one of the oldest professions in the world. from the beginning of the human race, women have needed someone to assist them in the birthing process. I think midwife as a profession not only exists in Indonesia, but also in the world. There are so many times that already known midwife as one of profession in health sector. Okay, now let me see midwifery as a profession in its own right, with a unique body of knowledge as well as shared knowledge with other health disciplines. Much of this knowledge is based on evidence that is the result of research, even though carried out by midwives and others. And as such, it is extended or amended from time to time by the finding from new studies. Also that already informed by professor from pharmacists, there are good studies, and also from Malaysia, there are many informed based on evidence, based the result of the studies. I think also could be used in midwifery services. Also, let me see midwife as a profession, that we have a key pillars of midwifery profession. We have to have the education, the clear education for midwife, how to provide midwife. And also we have regulation, how to regulate, what are the standard, and so many regulation that we have to have. And fortunately, we have the midwifery act in Indonesia. Okay, we will see later. And also the association is one of the pillars, it's important pillars. We must demand the regulation, education, and support of midwife to ensure quality of care for women, their newborns and families, and their communities. And of course, that based on the research and supported from the competency standard for midwifery practice. This midwifery law, number 4, 2019, what is the midwife? Midwife is a woman who has completed a midwifery education program, both nationally and abroad, that is legally recognized by the central government and has fulfilled the requirement for practicing midwifery. We have not early the same with the ICM, International Confederation of Midwife definition, because in global definition, midwife is a person, not a woman. But we are in Indonesia, midwife is a woman. Of course, what the standard, what the conceptual from a global, from the international, we have to adaptation with our situation. Not all standard we have to adopt, but we have to adapt. This is based on our culturally that we agreed with our group and also others partners that midwife in Indonesia is a woman. Midwifery services is a form of professional service that is an integral part of the healthcare system provided by midwives. Could be independently, collaboratively, and or referred. Midwifery services as part of health services in Indonesia. Independent practitioner midwife is a healthcare facility organized by midwife with professional education graduates to provide direct services to clients. Also, we take the message from this statement: independent practitioner midwife is part of a healthcare facility. It is recognized by government, also state in our midwifery law. Okay, now in our law that we regulate so many aspects, all aspects of midwife as profession, starting from how to provide midwife with midwifery education, registration and license, midwife Indonesian citizen, midwife foreign citizen, midwifery practices, rights and obligation, midwifery professional organization, utilizing midwife, guidance and supervision. all of aspect of midwife as profession already regulate in our midwifery law in many chapters. Okay, now that we see starting how to provide midwife in Indonesia, we have the form, we have the pattern of midwifery education, that we have the diploma program, what we call the vocational program, professional program, and academic program. Vocational program, we conduct vocational diploma 3. Vocational midwifery program, diploma 3 program. We call the graduate with the vocational midwife, or in the global term that we call the associate professional midwife. And also we conduct for the professional midwife. Professional midwife is continuing education from Bachelor Science in Midwifery and plus internship profession to become a professional midwife. And we have also the academic way in midwifery education. We conduct now magister degrees, magister, and also doctorate, not yet. We are on preparation to run, to develop, to build the doctorate program in Indonesia. It is the global standard ICM for midwife education. We have 2 ways to be a midwife. We call the direct entry midwife, that could be bachelor, 3 years after senior high school, depend on the system, education system in the country. Some of country, to be a bachelor's graduates should follow 3 years program, but in another country 4 years program. Let's say in Philippines for bachelor program that running 4 years program, and Bangladesh bachelor's program, they have the system 3 years program. And also we have the second way to be a midwife after nursing. This is the standard for ICM, International Confederation of Midwife, what the moderator introduced me as part of the representative of ICM board member. And after nursing plus 18 years in direct entry, that the graduate from this program we call the nurse midwife. But when they finish the midwifery program, some of them, they call themselves as a midwife, and some of them they call the nurse midwife, depend on the country. And we in Indonesia only have one way to be a midwife, by follow the midwifery education pattern, what I mentioned before. Okay, let's see how to registration in Indonesia. Every midwife who will carry out midwifery practice must have a registration certificate. This is also regulated in our law. Registration certificate is given by the council to the midwife who meets the requirement. There are some requirements. Registration certificate valid for 5 years and can be re-registered after fulfilling the requirements. Fulfilling sufficiency in midwifery practical activities, education, training, and other scientific activities, or continuing professional development, community services, professional services, and professional development by research, do the research, and publication. Midwifery practice are carried out at independent practice midwife, what I mentioned before, as part of health facility. Other care facilities in hospital, public health clinics, and etc. We can practice in every setting of health services in Indonesia. Midwifery practice is carried out in accordance, of course, with competencies and authority, and comply with the Code of Ethics, Profession Standard, and Standards Operational Procedure. A licensing midwife who will practice in midwifery must have a license. Practical licenses is provided by the health district regional government. To get the license, must have first registration certificate, which is still valid, of course, and also practice site when we are where we will practice, and also license will valid for 5 years. This is the scope of work: maternal health, child health services, women reproductive health and family planning, and implementation of tasks based on delegation of the authority. We are working as interprofessional health collaboration, and also implementation of tasks under certain conditions of limitation. Some of these delegation come from government, specifically in a very, very rural area. The task of the midwife can be carried out independent or collaborative. Implementation of tasks is carried out in a responsible and accountable manner. Midwives in administering midwifery practices must be in accordance with their competencies and the authority. We have to comply with the regulation. We see the maternal care in carrying out their duties in providing maternal health services. The midwife has the authority to provide midwifery care before pregnancy, during normal pregnancy, during labor and normal delivery, in the puerperium, conduct emergency care for pregnant women, childbirth and referral, and early detection of risk and complications during pregnancy, childbirth, postpartum, as well as post-miscarriage care, and continued with referral. In carrying out the task of providing child health services, midwives are authorized to providing midwifery care to newborns, infant, toddlers, and preschool children, provide immunization according to government programs, monitoring growth and development in infants, toddlers, and preschool children, and early detection of cases, complications, growth disorders, and referrals, emergency care in newborns followed by referral. And also for women reproductive health care in family planning and family planning services, we provide communication, information, education, counseling, and provide family planning services, pill, injectable, IUD, and implant in accordance with the statutory provision. The scope of midwifery practice, we start from health promotion and prevention, providing care for pre-pregnant and pregnant women, carry out a normal delivery care, carry out postpartum care, providing baby and child health care, providing women's reproductive health and family planning, screening for complication in maternal and child and women reproductive health, carry out emergency care in accordance with the competency and authority, referring high-risk cases and complication, and mobilizing community participation and empowering women and families. Why we have the additional task to mobilizing and to empowering women? Because we are, as a midwife, we are in the community. Together with the community, we stay close to the community. That we midwife as the front line in providing access to MGS and family services in the community. The midwife is a care provider with a strategic and unique role in MGS, maternal child health, as a partner for women, especially in undergoing their reproductive health cycle, through holistic and continuity of care with a midwifery respectful care approach. That our relationship between midwife and our client, women as our client, is a partnership, not subordinate, but partnership. We equal with our client. That our client feel free to talk with us, to discuss with us, to tell what they feel. This is why, because we build the relationship as a partnership. Midwives are chain of agents close to the community. We are close to the community, mobilizing community participation and empowering women and families. Midwife as collaborator in maternal child health and family planning services at community health care to referral, community health care to referral health care facilities. We are as a collaborator because we are in the front line. We have to screen which one we have to follow, which one we have to collaborate, which one we have to refer to other facilities. I think very important how to screen, how to take that no late for refer. Key midwifery concept. This based on ICM. There are a number of key midwifery concepts that define the unique role of midwife in promoting the health of women and childbearing families. Partnership with women to promote self-care and the health of mothers, infants, and families. Respect for human dignity and for women as persons with full human rights. Advocacy for women so that their voices are heard and their healthcare choices respected. Why? We use this one because some of our cultural, some midwives, they cannot take decision by themselves. Maybe a woman did not hurt by others person. That's why we have to empower women. Cultural sensitivity, including working with women and healthcare providers to overcome those cultural practices that harm women and babies. We have to identify which one positive, which one not positive, which one we have to support, with which one we have to give the completely information that it's not positive, it's danger for women and also for babies. Focus on health promotion and diseases prevention, that diffuse pregnancy as a normal life event. Advocacy for normal physiological labor and birth to enhance outcomes for mothers and infants. Let we see midwife professional values. Midwives are expected to show high standard of professional behavior. Midwives are professionally responsible and accountable for their practice, attitude, and actions, including inaction and omissions. Midwives recognize the relationship between professional responsibility and accountability and their professional integrity. Midwives advocate for women's or patients' rights. Midwives recognize their role in the appropriate management of health care resources. Now, let me see the role of midwife in complementary care. Midwifery care, we have the regulation, also the ministerial decree number 28, 2017, about licensing of practical midwife. In this regulation, there's the statement, midwife provide holistic, humanistic, evidence-based midwifery care with a midwifery care management approach and pay attention to physical, psychological, emotional, socio-cultural, spiritual, economic, and environmental aspects that can affect women's reproductive health, including promotive, preventive, curative effort, and rehabilitation according to their authority. That we provide the holistic care. Now, let me see. Holistic midwifery care. Holistic midwifery care paying attention to all aspects that can affect the reproductive health of women, infants, and toddlers by always considering the physical, psychological, social, cultural, and spiritual needs. Bio, psycho, social, cultural, spiritual. The human body is an integrated system and function that is very complex and interacts with each other, which is very compact. Automatically, disruption of one system and function of the human body can affect other body system and function. Holistic care uses a comprehensive concept, namely the integration between soul and body as well as social with scientific natural method. That let we see. Okay, dimension of holistic care. The dimension of the relationship between one's biopsychosocial, cultural, and spiritual. The dimension of understanding that one is a unified whole and cannot be separated. Traditional holistic a care technique that utilize nature with the principles of holism as an alternative medicine or traditional medicine, which includes traditional holistic, let's say acupuncture, acupressure, herbs, and others. Modern holistic healing techniques that combine traditional or ancient healing with modern technology and science that utilizes nature with the principle of holism, such as hypnotic psychological. Complementary holistic care, a care technique that combines traditional or ancient healing with modern technology and science that utilize nature with the principle of holism, given in a creative, flexible, supportive, caring, sustainable way according to the mother's wishes, under the guidance and monitoring of such as acupuncture, acupressure, herbal, yoga, hypnotherapy, and etc. Complementary therapy, complementary traditional health services is the application of traditional health services that utilize biomedical and biocultural sciences, and their benefits and safety are scientifically proven. Integrated traditional health services is a form of health service that combines conventional health services with complementary traditional health services, either as a complement or a substitute. Complementary therapy is known as traditional therapy, which are combined in modern medicine. Complementary is the incorporation of traditional therapy into modern medicine. This terminology is known as modality or activity therapy that adds to the conventional approach in healthcare. There are also complementary therapies that call it holistic medicine. This opinion is based on a form of therapy that affects the individual as a whole, namely an individual harmony to integrate the mind, body, and soul into a single function. There is the complementary traditional health services that meet the criteria can be integrated into health services facilities, including follow scientific principle, what mentioned from before speaker, the result of research, and also does not endanger the health of the patient, continue to pay attention to the best interest of patient, help promote preventive, curative, rehabilitative, and improve the quality of life of patients, including physically, mentally, and social. Based on the method of treatment, complementary traditional health services are carried out using skills that manual therapy, energy therapy, touch therapy that already mentioned, already explanation by previous speaker. Drugs, traditional drugs, combining drugs and skills. Manual technique is a treatment or care technique based on manipulation and movement of one or several body parts. Energy therapy is a treatment or care technique using energy field both from outside and from within the body itself. Let's say, the example, yoga and etc. Touch therapy is a treatment technique that aims to utilize the mind's ability to improve a body function. Criteria of traditional complement therapy can be accounted for safety and benefit following scientific rules, quality used rationally, not contrary to religious norms and norms that apply in society, that we have to consider about the sensitivity of our culturally, our values, and also as well as spiritual. Not dangerous. Pay attention to the best interest of the client, has the potential for disease prevention, health promotion, healing, health restoration, and improve the client's quality of life, physically, mentally, and socially. Now that introducing that, what a news, introducing respectful care model in maternal deaths developed by WHO, that here also we are talking about respectful labor and childbirth. We are talking about pain relief strategies could be used, complementary therapy, complementary by skills approach. We see later. The respectful midwifery care in seeking and receiving midwifery care before, during, and after childbirth. Every woman has the right to be free from harm and mistreatment. Information, informed consent and refusal, and respect for choices and preferences, including companionship during midwifery care wherever possible, by husband, by family, by mother, whoever. Privacy and confidentiality, their right to be treated with dignity and respect, equality, non-discrimination, healthcare, and the highest attainable level of health, quality of care, sensitive to a social culture, spiritual and values, liberty, autonomy, self-determination, and freedom from coercion. That, of course, we have to give the many information to our client that they can take the decision. The reversing the trend, partnership in care, aim to provide respectful midwifery care that is women-centered, empowering, and supportive, is evidence-based and shown to be beneficial, permits free communication and full expression of trust and commitment that based on partnership relationships, ensures all women are treated equitable. Now, let midwife and complementary therapy that from Royal College of Midwife. That's why that many midwives do complementary therapy, but they have to make sure that they do it the right way, that be careful. If they are using complementary therapy, they must have the skills and competencies necessary to carry out the procedure or therapy. The therapy should have a clear benefit. For example, yoga provides a gentle form of practice with clear benefits, including spiritual benefits such as self-confidence and relaxation. Complement alternative medicine claims to offer multiple benefits in pregnancy and birth, with medications such as ginger to help relieve morning sickness and aromatherapy to aid relaxation. Every midwife who will use complementary therapy must be held accountable if something goes wrong. Various theory state that the production of biological pain drugs can be done like endorphin stimulation by many approaches, such as a massage, oxytocin, and some else. She also said there was increasing interest in complementary alternative medicine among midwives in response to requests from pregnant women. I think not just in Indonesia, but in global situation. However, she cautions that midwives doing complementary therapy should ensure that they receive appropriate training. I think what worries me is that there is so much interest among midwives doing things without knowing what they are doing. Also, I would like to inform to my colleagues, we can do complementary therapy, but we have to have the knowledge and also skills. The big message is that they cannot do complementary alternative medicine unless they qualify properly. They must have a training certificate according to applicable regulation. Fortunately, in our country, in Indonesia, I saw so many training for a complementary therapy based on many approach. Support of the midwife in the implementation of complementary care in delivery. We are talking about pain relief during labor. Provide non-pharmacological support in childbirth. Massage, hydrotherapy, hypnotherapy as part of complementary midwifery care. It is likely that the care context and the type of care provision and care provider have a strong effects on the need for labor pain relief and on the choices women make it relation to this need. Relaxation, massage techniques, I think that my colleagues already know. This is very familiar with my colleagues in providing midwifery care. Most women desire some form of pain relief during labor, and qualitative evidence indicates that relaxation techniques can reduce labor discomfort, relieve pain, and enhance the maternal birth experience. We are talking about comfortable, that we have to give many techniques to make it comfort for women, for pregnant women. And we know in the pathophysiological, if a woman happy, comfort, the hormone oxytocin, endorphin will increase. That how to give the complement therapy, how to increase the hormone oxytocin, let's say, endorphin, and many needed for women. Okay, this is my presentation. Thank you.
You are most welcome, Dr. Emi Nurjasmi, for the wonderful really presentations. And dear participants, so hold on if you have any questions. So I think there are many questions will be addressed to Dr. Emi Nurjasmi, because she delivered a very wonderful presentation. But hold on, we will continue for the second presentation from Dr. Wayan Ardani. So, Doctor, have you been connected with us? Dr. Wayan?
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, I'm being connected.
So it seems that we have been connecting to Dr. Wayan. So today she also will talk about complementary therapy, and she will deliver a wonderful material today. Before she deliver the material, so let me read first her curriculum vitae. So her full name is Wayan Ardani, and then her educational background. She complete the bachelor degree from Udayana University as English Literature in 1994, and continued the master degree from same university, Udayana University, as a management, a magister, and continue the doctoral degree in 2020 from Udayana University also, the science of management. And she got many professional certificate, including sertifikasi BNSP pendamping UMKM, and also sertifikasi dosen. There are so many awards given for Dr. Wayan Ardani that I could not mention one by one. And to save our time now, let's go directly to the presentations delivered by Dr. Wayan Ardani. The floor is yours now, ma'am.
Thank you. What a wonderful moderator we have today. And I would like to thank also Mr. Rector of Muhammadiyah, which is give me a chance, and also all of the committee. Before I start, can you hear me clearly? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. May I share my?
Of course, you may. Okay. You may, Doctor.
Okay. Thank you. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see clearly.
Okay. Today Before I start, I would like also thank you for all of the previous speaker, which is like for me it's such a great, to hear all of the from nurses and also midwives point of view. And now I would like to share a little bit about neuro-linguistic programming or NLP for mental health. So we're just talking about a fourth topic today, which is like the first one is introduction of NLP. The second one is the 4 pillars of NLP. The third one is meta model. And the last one is how NLP works for meta model. I believe most of us here knows about NLP. I believe maybe some of the midwives, nurses here already using NLP for daily life. So just taking all of the concept now from John Grinder and Richard Bandler, who found the concept of NLP on 1970. NLP uses language patterns and metaphor to communicate with the subconscious mind. NLP is a training ourselves to think, speak, and act in new and positive ways in order to reach our maximum potential. The ability to organize our communication and neurological system to achieve specific desired outcomes and results. And NLP is how we use our mind's own language to consistently achieve our specific and desired outcomes. And the benefit is, of course, we can help us on, eliminate the phobias, depression, and learning disorder. And for psychotherapy, they use like for historical uses. And right now, modern uses is much used for hypnotherapy, leadership training, coaching, public speaking, sales, and team building. How it's NLP works? So if we see here, we have like 5 senses of 5 senses. So here is we have hearing, smell, taste, touch, and sight here. So from these 5 senses, we will experience something like pictures, sounds, feelings, taste, smell, or self-talk. And then our nervous system will process all of that experience via our senses. And then we will come to the programming, how we communicate with ourselves and each other to achieve our goal. This programming became to perception and behavior. And we know that in Indonesia, NLP has started to develop gradually, especially in the field of education, where it is used to apply in counseling or during consultation. And also NLP has also been applied in the learning process and has proven to make students understand each other and achieve better learning outcomes. And of course, NLP also some of the nurses, midwives, and even my husband is a doctor using NLP also. So there are 4 pillars of NLP. The first one is sensory acuity, which is like how we taking in of information and creating experiences and interaction with others, being curious and alert to the effect of what you do. Behavioral flexibility, which is how you have choice in life by looking at situation from different angles, uncovers more info and gives more choices. Rapport, which is like building a relationship by how we respecting and accepting others. And the last one is outcome orientation. So this is really important, how we paying attention to what you want, but not what you don't want. So we focus on what you want, what we want. How does NLP works? Our behaviors are a result of our beliefs combined with our own understanding of reality, which is our programming, becoming the perception, explores the link between neurological processes and language and behavior learned through experience. NLP, of course, provides structure for change that enables the coach to look behind the content of what actually drives to the behavior. And then the last one is seeks to achieve behavior change by finding the positive connotation of a thought or behavior. And then this one I share a little bit how we're using NLP in coaching, because we can use this everywhere. NLP is really helpful right now everywhere in all of the segments. So the first thing we need to do building rapport. Rapport is about how we make connection, how we building connection with one who we would like to coach. And then we getting information such as using the meta-modal question, which is like we present state and define desired state, paying particular attention to verbal and non-verbal responses. And the third one is we consider consequences of desired outcomes, impacts, potential issues, and positive. And then the fourth one, we assisting coachee to achieve desired outcome by using tools and technique to change internal representation and responses to stimuli. And the last one, how we see our future and describe how it feels having achieved outcome. So this is very interesting how we set up our future. What is meta-model? Meta-model is a set of questions designed to specify information, challenge and expand the limits to a person model of the world, draws on transformational grammar and general semantic, the idea that language is a translation of mental state into words, and that is in the translation there is an unconscious process of. So there is a deletion there, not everything we thought we said. Sometimes we have so many things we need to say, but we didn't say any. We didn't say it all. So distortion is assumptions and structural inaccuracy. And the last one is generalization, which is like a shift up towards absolute statement. How we use the meta model? The first one, we treat it as a tool for listening. We all know that listening is very powerful, because from listening we know what's really happened inside and outside. What is said out loud is tip of an iceberg, and what lies underwater is a huge amount of thinking, believing, feeling, evaluating, and other. And determine if the situation and our relationship with the person is right by using the meta model, and get the permission to use it, and then listen for which category they use most. So coaching is about you getting also permission. Can I use this meta model to get permission? And ask questions to encourage the person to explore the thinking behind what they are saying, and then be very clear that your aim is not to get them to admit to being wrong and their thinking. Your aim is to get them thinking about their thinking. So sometimes when we coaching people that have a problem with mental health, is we said, oh, your thinking is wrong. We cannot say that. But what we need to say is why you have that kind of thinking. And then we digging the reason, and then we get some, reframing later. Why we develop a meta model skill? Because the first one is better understand people and what's behind their problem behaviors. The second one is identify our best to motivate colleagues and customers. The third one is communicate clearly and ambiguously. And the last one is coach people in finding their own solution to difficult situations. And now, related to this, our international symposium, I would like to take one sample about how NLP works for mental health. I would like to take a case study on anxiety. Anxiety, how we call kecemasan in Indonesia. It's a set of an emotion or some feeling of tension with negative thoughts or annoying worries. Some people can avoid this situation by maintaining coping. Anxiety is usually accompanied by physical symptoms such as sweating, trembling, dizziness, and fast heartbeat. And according to the World Health Organization, depression and anxiety are common mental disorder with highest prevalency. More than 200 more than 200 million people worldwide, which is about 3.6%, suffer from the anxiety, while depression totals about 4.4%, and nearly half of them are from the Southeast Asia and West Pacific region. Anxiety is experienced by individuals subjectively and communicated interpersonal, which is anxiety is necessary to survive, but the level of severe anxiety is not in line with life. Anxiety can arise when individuals face new experiences such as entering school, starting a new job, or giving birth to a baby. So anxiety will be different from one person to the other person, and how we see, how we perceive our experiences also will influence our anxiety. Good communication using NLP can help reduce anxiety and can promote changes in people behavior pattern. NLP has other influences such as realistic perception of self, self-esteem, emotional and behavioral control. And then also from literature review, previous research show that communication association occur, and even in nursing, I believe, or in midwives, communication becomes the core in conveying a sense of empathy, and as an optimal form of care, there are several communication techniques that can support nurse to improve her quality, one which is by using NLP. Combining verbal language within body language can make two-way communication run smoothly and easily accepted by the communicant. The success of communication determined by the use of verbal language, vocal and visual, so communication will run perfectly. So we have to really give attention to how we, the combination of our words, how will our intonation and visual. NLP classifies human types into three groups, which is based on their abilities, sense such as visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. This distinction of human types will make it easier for nurses to choose the NLP technique that will be used in the intervention. Now, the last slide is about how 10 NLP process. The first one, for sure, we need to get meeting first with our patient, with our client, or with our friend, whoever we would like to coach. And then we begin with a meeting. We have to create a good atmosphere, explaining the program, goal, content, and program process. The second was its digital auditory method. So by using the visual, something like that. And then we reframing. Reframing is we try to change from negative framing to positive framing. Sometimes when we go somewhere and we get the traffic light, for instance, we just come to negative framing. Oh no, this is stupid, something like this. All negative framing, and you feel anxiety. And then sometimes when you can change that, reframing it okay, traffic jam, okay, it's fine. I still have my time to finish my makeup, or sometimes I can also, finish my my typing something. So how we reframing it? So, and then we come to the modeling, the meta model. For sure, we will self-discovery by digging all of the questions, something like that, and then taking anchor. Anchor is about how we put, all of the information. So we will know what is visual, what can you bring good memories, good experiences. So brings to be positive framing. And then the last one is evaluation and discussion. So I would like to share just in, quite fast presentation, so we have more time to discuss later. Thank you. I give the time back to Mr. Moderator. Thank you.
Right, you are most welcome, Dr. Wayan Aryani. So now let's give a virtual applause to Dr. Wayan for the wonderful presentations. Right then, last but not least, so don't leave the Zoom for the International Symposium. We still have last presentations from Mrs. Noor Khalifa. Now the last speaker will be here. And so before the wonderful presentation from Ibu Noor Khalifa, so let me read first her curriculum vitae. So her full name is Noor Khalifa, and then now she live in Rambatan Lor, RT03 and RW02 Kalibungu Kudus, and now she is a lecturer in Muhammadiyah University of Kudus, and also she is now the head of research and publications in Muhammadiyah University of Kudus. There are educational background that she had finished. So she completed the bachelor degree from Astika Waluya Ungaran, and then she continued the master degree in Diponegoro University Semarang, and now she also still on the progress of a doctoral degree from Diponegoro University. Also, she got many research experience that I can mention one by one, and also she gets some award that I could not mention one by one also. Then to save our time, now let's go directly for the last presentation by Mrs. Noor Khalifa. Now the floor is yours now, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Safik. Okay, thank you, Mr. Safik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. It's my pleasure to be here as speaker today. I am the last presenter for this international symposium today. I will present my publication entitled The Influence of the Celery Juice Against Blood Pressure Reduction in Hypertension. The first rank of the non-communicable discharge in Jepara was 50-100 cases. The most cases are women and with men and women. In Kalinyamatan Heart Center, this was an increase in the hypertension case from semester 1 until 2. Celery is plant that is easily found in the community. Celery contain abigenin, which is very useful for preventing narrowing of the blood vessel and blood pressure. IM and method. The purpose of the study was to determine the effect of celery juice on the blood pressure reduction in hypertension patient. This research used quantitative method and with quasi-experiment approach. Data collection used random sampling techniques. This respondent of the study, 24 respondent, and the data collects in Maret for April 2021. Celery or Apium graveolens, medicine heart used as a food, and also in traditional medicine, in content aromatherapy subtainable in the root, steam and leaf. The healthy purposes of the celery are due to the essential oil and flavonoid. This celery contain an essential oil. The essential oil helps anti-inflammatory and antibacterial action. Celery can lower blood pressure and regular heart function. Celery can to be slowed down and the treatment complication caused by diabetes mellitus because it influences the blood glucose level by stimulating the pancreas to insulin secretes. Way of consumption: add 1 cup or the 4 legs celery adds today. Consume in the form of the celery juice or enjoy directly after with the turkey. Analysis data. Data analysis use non-parametric tests to measure significant to group and that pattern with t-test. The result about average and difference in the systolic blood pressure of the diastolic infantation group and the control group. Moreover, the value 0 or 000. Conclusion: with a value of the systole strong condensate, value R diastole moderate closeness, it can to be conclusion that there is a significant effect celery juice on the blood pressure reduction in the hypertension hypertension patient in Jepara. That's my presentation for my research to 2021. That's enough.
All right then. So, right, well, ladies and gentlemen, now let's give once again virtual applause to all of the panel speaker presentations for these sessions. It will be really interesting. So those material are really attractive and really comprehensive, to talk about the complementary therapy today. And now we still open the discussion sessions, panel discussions, and we would like once again to invite the dear participant who still joins for this international symposium, who wants to ask the questions to those speaker, whether to Dr. Emi or to Dr. Wayan or to Sis Noor Khalifa. So you can ask a question. So please just mention your name and then mention your question is addressed for. And then write down your name. And then your questions I will ask to the speaker. Okay, so do we have any questions for 3 presenter for this session? Right, so okay, so first questions. Okay, so the first question is coming from Mrs. Diana, and the question is, Assalamualaikum Prof. Dyah. Come on, let me read the question, please. Thanks for your great presentation. My question is proposed to Dr. Wayan. And what is the difference between NLP and affirmation technique? So that's the first questions. So questions from Mrs. Diana to Dr. Wayan. So you may answer that, Doctor.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, thank you. Very nice question, Dyah. So if we speak about NLP, one of part of NLP is affirmation. Affirmation linked also with the law of attraction. If you have heard about the law of attraction, so something like, you know, when you doing your NLP, the first thing you need to do is reframing first. Reframing first your anxiety, your worry about negative thing will happen, and then reframing to positive thing. Like I mentioned before, when you have a problem, we have a unhappy, not comfortable situation, try to see that from positive way. Because sometimes what we have in our minds, we confirm with, we affirm with, that will be happen. And also in our religion, or of religion also saying that will, like, you know, a confirmation with what we have in our mind. So yes, affirmation is part of NLP, but before we go to the affirmation, what we need to do first is reframing from negative frame to be positive, which is one of them is by, you know, we doing like doing the anchor, we try to remember the positive way. Yes, we have sometimes negative happen in our life, but from the negative, something we can see also from the positive side, something like that. Do you have any question? I mean, is it clear for you?
Yeah, right. So thank you for the wonderful explanation from Dr. Wayan. So I think it's really, really clear. And to those who asked to Mrs. Diana, your questions hopefully is answered. And I'd like to say that Mrs. Emi says sorry that she has another meeting. So maybe if you have any questions to Dr. Emi, so I might ask to Dr. Emi later. Because now she is joining another meeting with Unisa Yogyakarta. So you may have pardon and apologize to Dr. Emi. Then we still have a question session and answer for these sessions. If you have any questions, you may write down your questions through our Zoom chat room, or even you can raise your hand directly to us, to all speakers that we have for this session. So please, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, sorry. Okay, second questions from... Show the questions, please. Okay, so second questions from Mr. Jauhari. The question is, great and interesting material from Mrs. Noor Khalifa. So today she shared a wonderful research presentations. Based on the results of the study, how much did the systolic and diastolic blood pressure decrease after consuming celery juice? And I could not see the next. What are the indicator or criteria of patients who may consume the celery juice? So that's the questions from Mr. Jauhari to Mrs. Noor Khalifa. So Mrs. Noor Khalifa, you may answer that question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jauhari. And question, how much did the systolic and diastolic blood pressure decrease after customer celery juice? And sister, 140 and diastole 90. Indication kriteria pasien konsumsi celery juice adalah pasien in hipertensi diagnosis, gitu.
So that's the explanation from Mrs. Noor Khalifa. So hopefully, Mr. Jauhari, who asked the questions, your question is done or is answered. And do we still have more questions through Zoom or raising hand? Do we still have? Okay, next question is from Mrs. Adelia. to Mrs. Nur Khalifa. So the question is there any side effect, I mean, regarding to the dose of consuming celery? Okay, that's the questions, Mrs. Nur Khalifa. You might answer that. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Such effect konsumsi celery juice as patient no hypertension, he's in anemia, and patient diabetes mellitus insert the level beli stimulating the pancreas to insulin secretes.
Okay, so that is the explanation from Mrs. Nur Khalifa about the questions. So to Mrs. Adelia, hopefully your question is overcome. Now we still have times to open one or two questions here to all panel speaker today, to Dr. Emi or to Dr. Wayan or to Mrs. Nur Khalifa. So if the participants still have any questions, so please, we still open a question and answer session right now. Do we still have more questions? Okay, right. So yeah, it seems that okay. So we don't have any more questions. No. Okay, right. So yeah, I'm afraid that we don't have any more questions. So Dr. Wayan, and maybe now we will end this session. And so I would like to say thank you once again to all participants today, Dr. Nurjasmi for the wonderful presentation, and Dr. Wayan Ardani for also wonderful presentation, and last but not least for Mrs. Nur Khalifa for nice sharing of her research presentations. But before I end the session, I need to ask once again to please Dr. Wayan, who is still joining for this symposium, a little closing statement, Mom.
Okay, thank you so much. So I would like to say that NLP can help us to, decrease our anxiety, our worry, and bring us to the more beautiful life and more positive life, and also drive us to the happiness and self-empowerment. Thank you.
Right then, so that is a really, really great closing statement. Now, Dr. Emi, if you are still joining for this symposium, you may have a closing statement now. All right then, so okay, so it seems that Dr. Emi has left, and now we will ask once again to Mrs. Nur Khalifa to please give a closing statement, Mom.
Okay, last closing I am thank you for keynote speaker Miss Elvira, Prof. Dr. Rusli from Malaysia, Dr. Emi Nurjasmi from Pengurus Pusat IBI, Professor Dr. Epid Dyah Aryani from Ketua APTFMA, and Dr. Wayan Andriani for Universitas Mahindra Data Bali. Thank you for just Symposium International today. Okay.
So thank you. Now, please once again give a virtual applause to three wonderful speakers today. I could not say anymore, except this is a really amazing presentation. Right, last but not least, dear participants, Alhamdulillah, finally we are in the peak or in the end of this international symposium today. So finally, yeah, I'd like to say Thank you for collaboration for participant and also keynote and invited speaker today. And before I end this international symposium, so I would like to give any crucial or important information to the participant who still join, that we will hold a second international conference that will be held inshallah in February, if I'm not mistaken. So please just prepare your best articles starting from now to submit in our international conference. And so all submitted paper inshallah will be published in both Scopus indexed journal and also Web of Science indexed journal. So please participate in our second international conference that will be held inshallah in February 2023. And last but not least, I would like to say thank you once again to a committee and also participant for this international symposiums. My name is Shafiq once again, and I deliver as a moderator. So let me say sorry if I deliver this international symposiums with my mistake. So thank you. We will meet again in the international symposium, and that's all from me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.